Have you ever felt like a stranger in your own life, a silent observer of a chaotic script you never wrote, as if you are standing in a room where the walls are made not of plaster and paint, but of memory and expectation? The echoes of every past regret and the shadows of every future anxiety bounce and flicker, filling the space, leaving no room for the person who is simply trying to exist, to breathe in the here and now. There is a profound exhaustion that comes from this state, a weariness that sleep does not touch. It is the fatigue of a mind that never stops running, a mind conditioned to analyze, to solve, to predict, and to protect, until the protector becomes the prison. You carry invisible weights, the gravity of words left unsaid, of paths not taken, of resentments held so long they feel like a part of your own skeleton. This feeling, this deep and quiet ache of disconnection, is not a sign of your weakness. It is not a flaw in your design. It is a signal. It is the soul's homing instinct, a sacred and persistent call to return. So I invite you now, not to a place of escape, for there is nowhere to run from the self, but to a place of meeting. Come and stand at the threshold of a great and gentle stillness that has been waiting for you. Here, we will not fight the noise. We will simply learn its nature. We will not shatter the walls of the past. We will learn to open the door. The journey we are about to embark upon is not one of becoming someone new. It is a journey of remembrance. It is an unlearning of everything that told you you were separate or broken or incomplete. Your breath will be the key, and the courage to release will be the path. Let us begin. We begin by entering that room, the one you know so well, the inner sanctum of the self, which so often feels more like a chamber of endless noise. Let us give it a name so we might understand it. Let us call it the echo chamber of the mind. It is a space designed with a peculiar and powerful acoustic. Every sound that enters, every whisper of doubt, every shout of fear, every casual remark from a stranger years ago does not simply fade away. It strikes a wall and bounces back. It strikes another and returns again, altered, sometimes louder, sometimes more distorted, joining a chorus of other echoes until the original sound is lost in the cacophony. This is the nature of your untended mind. Its default state is not silence, but resonance. It is built to ruminate, to chew upon the cud of experience, believing that in this constant processing, it will find safety. The brain is a magnificent survival tool, an organ that evolved to solve problems. Find food, avoid predators, seek shelter, and it performed this task so well that it became its primary identity. It is a problem solver. But in a world where the saber-toothed tigers are no longer physical, but emotional and existential, the mind keeps solving problems that aren't there. It rehearses arguments that will never happen. It relitigates conversations from a decade ago, seeking a better outcome. It constructs elaborate scenarios of future failure, all under the noble guise of being prepared. This mechanism, once a brilliant servant, has become a restless master. It is addicted to the process of thinking itself, for in the act of thinking, it reaffirms its own existence, its own importance. It abhors a vacuum. An empty moment is a void to be filled, and so it fills it with what it knows best, the echoes of what has been. What are these echoes that populate the chamber? Listen closely. Do you hear them? They are the fragmented commandments of your upbringing, the shoulds and should-nots that became your internal law. They are the polished criticisms of a teacher or a parent, a single sentence that has become a cornerstone of your identity of not good enough. They are the ghosts of past loves, whispering your inadequacies. They are the relentless looping choruses of your deepest fears, playing on repeat, the fear of abandonment, the fear of failure, the fear of being truly seen, the fear of being unseen. They are the anxieties of the collective, absorbed from headlines and conversations, the worries of the world that you have mistaken for your own personal burden. And beneath it all, there is a constant, low hum the narration of the ego, the voice that judges, compares, and comments on every single experience. I did that well. She is doing better than me. Why did I say that? What will they think of me? This endless commentary creates a film, a layer of interpretation between you and the raw, unfiltered reality of the present moment. You do not experience the sunset. You experience your thoughts about the sunset. You do not feel the sting of sadness. You feel your judgment about your sadness, that you shouldn't be sad, that it makes you weak. Herein lies the great internal conflict, the silent war waged within you every day. There is a part of you, a deep, ancient, knowing part, that craves silence. It yearns for the stillness you sense is your birthright. It knows that truth and peace reside not in the noise, but in the space between the sounds. Yet there is another part, the conditioned mind, the ego, the chamber itself, that is terrified of silence. For if the echoes stop, if the narration ceases, what is left? It is a confrontation with the ultimate question: if I am not my story of struggle, if I am not my thoughts, who am I? This fear keeps the echo chamber operational. You unconsciously keep the noise going, because the noise, however painful, is familiar. The silence is the unknown. This brings us to the most important realization you will ever have on this journey, the core message that can shatter the very foundations of your suffering. You are not the echoes. You are not the thoughts. You are not the voice in your head. You have thoughts, but you are not them. This is the great misidentification, the fundamental error that gives rise to all inner turmoil. We have spent our lives believing we are the content of our minds. Imagine your consciousness, your true essence, is the vast, boundless sky. It is open, clear, aware, and inherently peaceful. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, and memories are like the weather. They are the clouds that drift through the sky. Some days the sky is filled with dark, heavy storm clouds of anger or grief. On other days, it is decorated with light, wispy clouds of joy. Sometimes it is perfectly clear, but through it all, the sky itself does not change. The sky is not damaged by the storm. It does not cling to the beautiful clouds of a sunset. It does not become the cloud. It is the silent, allowing space in which all weather happens. You are the sky. Your mistake has been to believe you are a cloud. When a dark thought of self-doubt appears, you believe I am a doubtful person. When a wave of anxiety washes through you, you believe I am an anxious person. You have condensed the infinite expanse of your being into the finite shape of a passing thought or feeling. And from this case of mistaken identity, all the struggle is born. You try to control the weather. You spend your life chasing the white clouds and running from the dark ones. You exhaust yourself trying to push the storm clouds away, trying to hold on to the sunny moments, resisting the natural, ever-changing climate of your own inner world. But you cannot control the weather. You can only be the sky. The freedom is not in managing the clouds. The freedom is in realizing you are the sky. How then do we begin to disentangle our identity from this relentless stream of mental weather? How do we shift from being the cloud to being the sky? We do it not with force, not with another act of aggressive thinking, but with a gentle, patient, and radical act of awareness. We begin to practice the art of noting, of labeling. This is not another complicated mental exercise to add to the noise. It is the opposite. It is an act of simplification, of disengagement. As you sit in the quiet of your being, you simply watch the mind. When a thought of the future arises, a plan, a worry, you do not follow it down its path. You do not engage in a debate with it. You simply, gently, note it in your awareness. Planning, worrying, a memory from childhood surfaces. You do not dive into the emotion of it. You note it, remembering. A judgment about yourself or another person appears. You do not accept it as truth, nor do you fight it. You note it, judging. See each thought as a leaf floating down a river. Your habit has been to jump into the cold water and grab every single leaf, examining it, questioning where it came from, wondering where it's going. The practice of noting is to simply sit on the riverbank and watch the leaves float by. Ah, a leaf of planning. There goes a leaf of self-criticism. Here is a leaf of desire. You do not have to do anything about them. Your only task is to notice them without being carried away by the current. At first, the mind will resist this. It will feel boring or pointless. The ego will insist that these thoughts are very important and demand your immediate attention. Your job is to return again and again with a gentle and forgiving spirit to the riverbank, to the position of the observer. This is an act of profound self-compassion. You are not condemning your thoughts. You are simply ceasing to be their slave. You are withdrawing the fuel of your unquestioning belief. With each moment that you choose to observe rather than engage, you accomplish something miraculous. You create space. It may be only a fraction of a second at first, a tiny gap between the thought and your awareness of the thought. But in that gap is the seed of all freedom. In that gap, you are not the echo. You are the silence that perceives the echo. In that gap, you are not the cloud, you are the sky. This space is where peace lives. It is where choice is born. Without this space, you are a creature of reaction, tossed about by every passing thought and feeling. With this space, you become a being of response. You can see the wave of anger rising, and because you are the sky and not the wave, you can choose not to be capsized by it. You can observe the thought of inadequacy without letting it dictate your actions. This is the beginning of true inner power. It is not about silencing the chamber, for the echoes may always arise from time to time. It is about realizing the chamber is inside of you, but it is not the totality of you. You are the vast, silent mansion in which the echo chamber is just one small room. And as we stand here, in this newfound space, we begin to notice that many of the most persistent echoes, the loudest and most repetitive sounds in the chamber, are all broadcast from a single, powerful source. They are the reverberations of what has been. They are the anchors of yesterday. We stand in the newfound space of our own awareness, and we notice the source of the most persistent echoes. They emanate from a place you carry with you always, a dimension that does not exist in the physical world, but feels more solid and real than the ground beneath your feet. This is the realm of yesterday. For so many of us, the past is not a gentle wake trailing behind a moving ship. It is a great, heavy anchor, dropped unceremoniously into the seabed of our memory, holding us fast while the currents of life push and pull against our hull. We mistake its immense weight for stability. We mistake the familiar ache of its chain for a sense of belonging. But it is an anchor nonetheless, and it keeps us moored in a harbor of our own making, preventing us from ever truly sailing into the open ocean of the present moment. This anchor is not forged from a single metal. It is a tangled, complex mass. It is made from the dense iron of regret, the sharp, rusted edges of resentment, and the deceptively beautiful, clinging vines of nostalgia. We polish it with our stories, we reinforce it with our justifications, and we check its chain constantly to ensure it is still holding us secure in our own history. The mind does this for a reason. The mind is a creature of the known. The pain of yesterday, however acute, is a familiar pain. The landscape of your past sorrows is a territory you have mapped extensively. You know its every pitfall, its every treacherous turn. The future, by contrast, is an uncharted wilderness. And so, the mind, in its misguided attempt to keep you safe, chooses the known suffering over the unknown potential for joy. It whispers that it is better to remain here, shackled to a story you understand, than to risk the unpredictable nature of a life lived in true freedom. It convinces you that the weight of the anchor is what gives you substance, that without it, you would simply drift away. Let us examine the heaviest, most corrosive part of this anchor, the part that binds us with the most ferocious strength. This is the weight of unforgiveness. It is the refusal to release the debts you believe you are owed. Someone wronged you. They betrayed your trust. They caused you pain. They did not give you what you deserved. The injustice is a fire you have kept burning within you, stoking it daily with the memory of the offense. The ego insists that this fire is your power. It tells you that to forgive is to surrender, to condone the act, to let the perpetrator escape their sentence. Forgiveness, in the ego's court of law, is a miscarriage of justice. It clutches the grievance like a precious stone, for this grievance defines you. It makes you the victim, the righteous one, the one who was wronged. This identity can become so central to your sense of self that the thought of letting it go feels like a kind of death, but you must look closely at who is truly imprisoned by this refusal. Holding on to anger and resentment is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. You are the one whose hands are scarred, whose energy is consumed, whose heart is calcified by the heat of your own bitterness. The person who harmed you may be living their life, oblivious to the torment you are putting yourself through. You have bound yourself to them with an energetic chain, forcing yourself to endlessly relive the moment of your wounding. Forgiveness is not for them, it is for you. It is not an act of weakness. It is an act of supreme self-love. It is not about saying what you did was okay. It is about saying, I am no longer willing to let what you did destroy my peace today. It is the moment you take the scissors and cut the chain. It is the pragmatic, powerful decision to stop drinking the poison of the past and to finally allow your own wounds to heal. If resentment is one fluke of the anchor, regret is the other. This is the haunting realm of what if and if only. This is the mind's torturous pastime of time travel, constantly journeying back to edit scenes that have long since faded to black. If only I had been braver. What if I had taken the other path? If only I hadn't said those words. Each of these thoughts is a ghost you invite into your present moment. They are phantom limbs, aching with a life that was never lived. You are attempting to solve an equation that has no solution, to win a game that is already over. This is not a productive review of past mistakes in order to learn. This is a self-flagellation. It is an endless loop of criticism that offers no resolution, only a deepening sense of your own inadequacy. Let us use another image. Imagine that upon your birth, you were given a backpack, light and empty. But for every decision you later regretted, for every perceived failure, for every path not taken, you have picked up a stone and placed it in the pack. At first, the weight was negligible. But over the years, stone after stone has been added. The weight is now immense. It stoops your shoulders, it slows your pace, it drains your energy as you try to walk the path of your daily life. You have been carrying it for so long. You have forgotten what it feels like to walk upright, to move with lightness and ease. You have come to believe that this crushing weight is simply a part of who you are. The core message you must integrate is this. Every single stone in that backpack, every choice, every mistake, every wrong turn has led you precisely to this moment, to the sacred now in which you are hearing these words and realizing you have the power to put the backpack down. Without that specific, flawed, and imperfect past, you would not be the person who is now ready for this awakening. In a profound way, your past mistakes were not mistakes at all. They were the curriculum. They were the necessary ingredients for the person you are becoming. To condemn them is to condemn the very journey that has brought you to the threshold of your own liberation. How then do we unfasten this anchor? How do we set down this backpack of stones? We do it not by ignoring the weight, but by honoring it one last time before letting it go. We perform a ritual of release. When you have a quiet moment, take a piece of paper and a pen, sit with it, and grant yourself permission to be brutally, beautifully honest. Let the ink become a conduit for the poison. Write it all down. Name the people you have not forgiven. Describe in raw detail what they did and how it made you feel. Do not hold back. Use the words you were never allowed to say. Then, on the same paper or a new one, write down your regrets. Confess your perceived failures, your moments of cowardice, the times you betrayed yourself or others. Empty the contents of the backpack onto the page. Pour out the anchor's weight until you feel a sense of completion, of emptiness. This is not for anyone else to see. This is a sacred confession between you and the universe. When you are done, read it. Read it aloud if you can. Let your own voice give sound to the pain for the final time. Let your ears hear the story. Let your heart feel the familiar ache. Thank the story for the lessons it taught you, for the strength it forced you to build. Honor its role in your life. And then, with intention, you must release it. The simplest and most powerful way is through fire. Safely take the paper and burn it. As you watch the flames consume the words, as you see the ink and paper turn to smoke and ash, visualize the energetic chains breaking. See the weight in your backpack turning to dust. This is a potent act of alchemy, turning the lead of your past into the golden freedom of the present. As the smoke rises, take a deep breath. Inhale the clean, fresh air of this moment, right here, right now. And as you exhale, imagine you are breathing out the very last remnants of that smoke, the very last residue of that pain. Breathe in the now, breathe out the yesterday. When the anchor is raised, a new feeling emerges. It is a feeling of lightness, but also of vulnerability. The ship, so long held in one place, now bobs and sways with the gentle motion of the water. It is free. This does not mean the storms will never come. It does not mean the sea of life will always be placid. But it means you are no longer tethered to a single point of suffering. The past is no longer a place you inhabit. It becomes what it was always meant to be, a wake that streams behind you, showing you where you have been but not dictating where you must go. You have reclaimed your right to navigate. You have given yourself permission to set a new course. Yet, as we stand on the deck of our newly freed vessel, looking out at the vast open horizon, a different kind of fear can arise. We are no longer held back by the anchor of what has been, but we can become paralyzed by the sheer immensity of what is to come. Our gaze shifts from the anchor chain behind us to the blank map before us, and a new obsession can take hold. The desperate, exhausting, and ultimately futile attempt to control the uncontrollable tides of the future. Our ship is free. The great, heavy anchor of yesterday has been raised, its rusted chain coiled on the deck, a reminder of a weight we no longer need to carry. We stand at the prow, the salty air of possibility on our face, and before us lies the vast, shimmering, and terrifying expanse of the open sea. It is the future, and as we stare into its unpredictable mystery, a new kind of paralysis can take hold. A new obsession is born from the ashes of the old. Having released our attachment to what has been, we now develop an intense, desperate desire to control what will be. We become the frantic captain, obsessed with charts and predictions, trying to map every current, every potential storm, every league of an ocean that has not yet formed. This is the grand and tragic illusion of control. It is the belief that if we can just think hard enough, plan meticulously enough, and worry strategically enough, we can force the wild, chaotic beauty of life into a neat, predictable, and painless sequence of events. This illusion is the source of all anxiety. Anxiety is the static charge that builds in the gap between the life you are trying to force and the life that is actually trying to live through you. This compulsive need for control is born from the deepest and most primal of our fears. It is the fear of the unknown, the fear of pain, the fear of loss. Deep within the architecture of the psyche, the mind operates as a tireless architect of defense. It holds a blueprint, a perfect design for a life devoid of suffering. In this blueprint, relationships never end, health never fails, success is guaranteed, and every step is secure. It is a blueprint for a fortress, designed to keep out the messy, unpredictable, heartbreaking, and glorious reality of human existence. And so your mind works ceaselessly, not to live life, but to manage it. It becomes a project manager for reality. It spends its days drawing and redrawing these blueprints, creating contingency plans for every wall that might crumble, for every door that might be breached. The constant mental chatter, the what-ifs that plague your quiet moments, are the sounds of this frantic construction. What if I lose my job? I must have a 5-step backup plan. What if this person leaves me? I must analyze their every word and action to prevent it. What if I get sick? I must research every possible symptom. This is not living, this is a siege. You are a fortress under the constant, imagined threat of attack from life itself. The tragedy is that the fortress you build to keep out the pain also keeps out the joy. Its walls are too thick for the light to get in. Its gates are too heavy for spontaneity to enter. In your attempt to secure everything, you end up experiencing nothing. Consider the energetic cost of this futile battle. Think of the sheer amount of life force that is consumed each day in this project of control. It is like trying to hold a river in your arms to stop its powerful flow to the sea. You stand in the current, muscles tensed, teeth gritted, straining against the immense, elemental force of life's unfolding. You may succeed for a moment, creating a small, stagnant pool around you, but the river simply builds its pressure against your resistance or finds a new path around you. The effort leaves you exhausted, depleted, and chronically tense. This tension is not just mental, it becomes physical. It is the tightness in your shoulders, the knot in your stomach, the shallow breath that never quite fills your lungs. It is the physical manifestation of your resistance to what is. The internal conflict is excruciating. The mind promises that control will bring peace. Just one more plan, one more problem solved, and then you can relax. But the peace never comes. The act of trying to control is itself the source of the turmoil. The promise is a lie. The more you try to manage every detail, the more anxious you become, because you are constantly confronted with the evidence of your own powerlessness over the grand scheme of things. It is a war you can never win, because you are at war with the very nature of reality, and reality always wins. The path to freedom lies not in fighting harder, but in a radical act of surrender. It is in the wisdom of letting go of the oars and picking up the rudder. You cannot control the river, but you can learn to steer your boat. This requires a profound shift in perspective. You must move from the mindset of a project manager to that of a skilled navigator, or perhaps even a dancer. A dancer does not control the music. A dancer listens to the music, feels its rhythm, its pulse, its emotion, and moves in harmony with it. To surrender to the flow of life is not to become a passive victim, tossed about by the currents. It is to become so exquisitely present, so deeply attuned to the music of the moment, that your actions become a graceful, intelligent, and powerful response to what is actually happening, rather than a rigid, fearful reaction based on a pre-written script. It is the difference between forcing a lock and using the right key. This is the wisdom of water. Water does not resist an obstacle. It flows around it. It is soft, yet it can wear away the hardest stone. Its power is in its adaptability, its willingness to take the shape of whatever contains it without losing its essential nature. To embrace this wisdom is to accept the profound truth that the universe operates on principles far grander and more intelligent than your anxious little plans. There is a current, a flow, a Tao, and your highest function is to align with it, not to fight it. When you stop resisting, you discover that the river was never your enemy. It was always trying to carry you home. But how do we practice this surrender when the habit of control is so deeply ingrained? We cannot simply command the mind to stop worrying. It would be like commanding the wind to stop blowing. Instead, we give the mind a designated space and time to do what it does. We honor its nature, but we contain it. We create a worry box or a worry appointment. Choose a specific time each day, say 10 or 15 minutes. This is your sacred appointment with anxiety. When the time comes, you sit with a pen and paper, or simply with your own thoughts, and you let the storm rage. You worry with absolute focused intention. You write down every fear, every catastrophic scenario, every unsolved problem that your mind can conjure. You give it your full attention. You hold nothing back. Let the mind spin its tales of doom without any censorship. When the timer goes off, you stop. You consciously say, "The time for worry is over." If you have written your worries down, you fold the paper and put it in a physical box, or you close the notebook. You are ceremonially closing the door on the storm. Then, for the rest of the day, if a worry arises, as it surely will, you do not engage it. You do not follow it. You gently acknowledge it and say to yourself, "Thank you, mind, but I will deal with that during our appointment tomorrow at 4 p.m. You are not suppressing the worry. You are postponing it. You are training your mind like a puppy to understand that there is a time and a place for this activity, and it is not all day, every day. You are reclaiming the vast territory of your life from the small, colonized outpost of anxiety. You are becoming the master of your own attention once more. In this practice, we see the metaphor of the clenched fist and the open hand come to life. The constant all-day effort to control is the fist, squeezed tight, straining, with the water of life frantically slipping through the cracks. It is a posture of tension and futility. The worry appointment is the act of deliberately clenching the fist for a short time, acknowledging its habit, and then, crucially, the conscious act of unclenching it. What is left when the fist is open? The hand is relaxed. It can feel the air. It can receive a gift. It can hold another's hand. It is open to the world. An open hand is a posture of trust, of acceptance, of freedom. As you practice this release, as you raise the anchor of the past and unclench the fist of the future, you may find yourself in a new and unfamiliar state. You are no longer looking backward in regret or forward in fear. You are simply here. Stripped of the stories of yesterday and the blueprints of tomorrow, what remains? It is the raw, undeniable, and immediate experience of the present moment. And what is the most constant, fundamental, and intimate reality of your present moment experience? It is the gentle, rhythmic, life-sustaining miracle of your own breath. It has been here all along, the quiet anchor in the now, waiting patiently for you to return. This is the first gate. This is the way back home. We have walked through the echoing halls of the mind. We have raised the heavy anchor of yesterday, and we have stood before the vast, unknowable ocean of the future, learning to release our desperate grip of control. And in that release, in that surrender, we find ourselves standing at a threshold. It is the entrance to the only place that is truly real, the only dimension where life is actually lived. It is the sacred, immediate, and ever-present moment of now. But how do we enter this space, which feels so foreign to a mind accustomed to dwelling in the past or the future? The gate is not hidden. The key is not complex. It has been with you since the moment of your birth, and it will be with you until the moment of your death. It is the most overlooked, yet most profound miracle of your existence. It is your breath. This is the first gate. It is the way home. We have ignored it for so long precisely because of its constancy. The breath is an autonomous function, a relentless rhythm orchestrated by the deep, ancient wisdom of the body. It happens without our command, a faithful servant keeping the flame of life lit while our conscious mind is lost in its dramas. But here lies its unique and sacred magic. Unlike the beat of your heart or the digestion of your food, the breath is a bridge. It is the one autonomous function that you can also consciously touch, guide, and befriend. It is the meeting point of the seen and the unseen, the voluntary and the involuntary. It is the place where your conscious, willing self can shake hands with the deep, unconscious intelligence of the universe that is living through you. To bring your awareness to your breath is to step onto this bridge, to walk from the chaotic periphery of your thoughts to the calm, powerful center of your being. The breath is the ultimate and infallible compass of the present moment. Your mind is a time traveler, constantly leaping backward into regret or forward into anxiety. Your emotions can be echoes of long-ago events, rippling into your present, but your breath can only ever be now. You cannot take a breath that is in the past. You cannot inhale a future breath. To be aware of your breathing is, by definition, to be present. It is an anchor that instantly and effortlessly moors you in the harbor of the here and now. No matter how turbulent the storm of your thoughts, no matter how lost you feel in the labyrinth of your worries, you always have this compass. One conscious breath is all it takes to find your bearings, to remember where you are, which is always here. This is where the internal conflict often arises. The mind, addicted to complexity and drama, will immediately protest. This is boring, it will say. This is a waste of time. There are real problems to solve, real things to do. It will squirm with impatience, desperate for a more stimulating distraction. You must see this resistance for what it is, the ego's fear of becoming irrelevant. In the simple, non-dramatic reality of the breath, the ego's stories lose their power. In the face of such profound simplicity, its complex constructions of fear and desire begin to dissolve. To stay with the breath is a radical act of rebellion against the tyranny of the thinking mind. It is a declaration that you are choosing the quiet truth of your being over the loud falsehoods of your conditioning. So let us now walk through this gate together. There is nothing to achieve, nothing to force. This is not a task, but an act of gentle remembrance. Find a position that is comfortable for your body. You can be sitting or lying down. Let your posture be dignified, but not rigid. Let it be a posture that says to the universe, I am here. I am willing to be present. Gently allow your eyes to close, or lower your gaze to a soft focus. Now, for the first few moments, do nothing at all. Simply bring your attention to the fact that you are breathing. Do not try to change your breath in any way. Do not judge it as too shallow or too deep. Let it be exactly as it is. Your only task is to become curious. Where do you feel the sensation of the breath most vividly? Is it the cool air entering your nostrils? Is it the gentle expansion and contraction of your chest? Is it the soft rise and fall of your abdomen? There is no right answer. Simply rest your attention wherever the sensation is most clear for you. This is your home base. This is your anchor. Now, let us become aware of the 4 phases of this miracle. First, there is the in-breath. Feel the air as it enters, a gift from the world outside. See it as an act of receiving, of allowing life force to fill you, to nourish every cell of your being. Then, notice the brief, silent pause at the very top of the inhalation. It is a moment of fullness, of potential, a quiet peak of energy. Following this, there is the out-breath. Surrender to it. Feel the body soften as the air is released. Let this exhalation be an act of letting go. Let it carry with it any tension from your body, any worry from your mind, anything that is old and no longer serves you. Finally, notice the second pause at the end of the exhalation. This is a moment of emptiness, of stillness, the fertile void from which the next breath will be born. Inhale, the receiving. Pause, the fullness. Exhale, the release. Pause, the stillness. Inevitably, your mind will wander. It will be carried away by a thought, a sound, a memory. This is not a failure. It is simply the nature of the mind. When you notice you have wandered, you have already succeeded, for you have woken up. Do not be frustrated. Do not scold yourself. Treat your wandering mind with the same gentle patience you would offer a small child or a puppy. Acknowledge where it went. thinking, and then gently, firmly, and lovingly guide your attention back to the physical sensation of your breath. Every time you do this, you are strengthening your muscle of presence. The practice is not about never wandering. The practice is the compassionate act of returning over and over again. As you continue to rest in this simple rhythm, a shift begins to occur. You start to feel that it is not you who is breathing, but that you are being breathed by something larger than yourself. Let us use the metaphor of the ocean. Your body is the shoreline, and your breath is the tide. The inhalation is the tide rolling in, bringing the life-giving energy of the vast ocean to wash over you. The exhalation is the tide rolling out, cleansing the shore, pulling back with it all the debris, leaving the sand clean and new. By resting your awareness on this rhythm, you begin to feel your connection to the entire ocean. You sense that your small individual breath is a part of a vast, universal respiration. The air you are breathing has been cycled through trees, through clouds, through the lungs of your ancestors. The division between you and the world begins to soften. You are not a separate entity struggling to survive. You are a wave in the ocean of being, a unique expression of the whole. This realization brings a profound sense of peace and belonging. You are not alone. You are an intrinsic part of life itself. And now, standing on this solid ground of the present moment, anchored by the rhythm of the tide, we are finally in a position of power. We are no longer lost in the storm. We are standing firmly on the shore. From this stable vantage point, we can now look up at the sky of our own mind, and for the first time, simply observe its weather without being afraid of it. We are ready to watch the clouds of thought as they drift by, knowing that we are not the clouds, but the vast, unwavering sky that holds them. We are resting on the shore of the present moment, anchored in the gentle, rhythmic tide of the breath. Our feet are on solid ground. From this place of stability, we can now do something remarkable. We can lift our gaze from the earth of our physical sensations and look up into the sky of our own mind. For most of your life, you have lived as if you were lost in a perpetual fog, a thick, low-hanging mist of thought that obscured your vision and defined your world. You believed the fog was the world, but now, anchored in the present, the fog begins to lift. For the first time, you may sense that there is a vast, clear expanse above it. This expanse is your true nature. It is consciousness itself. And the thoughts that once defined your reality are revealed to be nothing more than what they are: clouds, drifting across the immense, silent canvas of the sky. This is the beginning of your liberation, the realization that you are not the cloud, you are not the weather, you are the sky. This is the great misidentification we spoke of earlier, and it is worth examining more deeply, for it is the single most pervasive source of human suffering. You were not born as a cloud, you were born as the sky. As a small child, your awareness was open, boundless, and lived entirely in the present. But through the process of conditioning, you were taught to identify with every piece of weather that passed through you. A storm of anger appeared, and you were told, "You are a naughty child." You learned to say, "I am angry." A gray, drizzling cloud of sadness drifted in, and you learned to say, "I am a sad person." A brilliant, sun-drenched cloud of joy shone in your inner sky, and you learned to cling to it desperately, believing, "This is the real me," only to despair when it inevitably moved on. We have all done this. We have condensed the infinite, formless mystery of our being into the small, temporary, and ever-changing shape of a thought or an emotion. We have built our identity on the most transient of phenomena. We have built our house upon the clouds, and so we live in constant fear that the wind will change. This is not your fault. It is a deeply ingrained habit of the human mind, a survival mechanism that mistakes thoughts for facts and feelings for fixed realities. Our work now is not to condemn this habit, but to gently, patiently, and lovingly see through it. To do this, we must become intimate with the true nature of these thought clouds. We must become a meteorologist of the mind, observing their qualities without judgment. First, we must understand their impersonality. Your thoughts are not as personal as you think. They are products of conditions, just as a cloud is a product of temperature, pressure, and humidity. A thought arises because of what you ate, how you slept, a conversation you had, a book you read, a fear inherited from your ancestors. It is a piece of mental flotsam, a bit of data floating through the system. You are not the author of most of your thoughts. You are simply the space in which they are perceived. To believe every thought is a deep, personal truth about you is like the sky believing it is personally responsible for every cloud that forms. Second, we must deeply understand their impermanence. No cloud has ever stayed in the sky forever. No thought has ever lasted. They are born, they exist for a time, and they dissolve. Your suffering comes from resisting this natural law. You try to nail the beautiful, fluffy white clouds to the sky, and you try to wage war against the dark, ominous storm clouds, trying to shoot them down. This is an exhausting and futile battle. The wisdom lies in recognizing that they will all pass. The pain, the pleasure, the boredom, the excitement, all of it is weather. And you are the sky that has room for it all. Finally, we must recognize their insubstantiality. A thought feels so real, so solid, so important. But what is it really? It is a whisper of electricity in the neural pathways of your brain. It has no mass, no substance. A thought has no power on its own. It is like a salesperson at your door. It can knock, it can shout, it can make all kinds of promises or threats, but it cannot enter your house unless you open the door and invite it in for tea. We give thoughts their power through our belief and our attention. A cloud may look solid and imposing from a distance, but an airplane can fly right through it. It is mostly empty space. So are your thoughts. Let us practice this together now. This is the meditation of sky gazing. Remain anchored in your breath, feeling the solid ground beneath you, the quiet rhythm of the tide within you. Now, gently turn your awareness inward and upward. Visualize the inside of your head, the space of your mind, as a vast, open, brilliant blue sky on a clear day. This is you. This is your essential, nature spacious, peaceful, and full of light. Your only job is to be this sky. Now, simply wait. You do not need to create thoughts, and you do not need to stop them. Simply be the sky, and wait for a cloud to appear, as one surely will. When the first thought cloud drifts into your awareness, your task is different now. You are not to get interested in the story of the cloud. You are not to believe it or fight it. Your task is simply to notice its characteristics, like a curious scientist. Notice its size and shape. Is it a big, slow-moving cloud of planning for the week ahead? Is it a thin, wispy, fast-moving cloud of anxiety? Is it a dark, heavy, low-hanging cloud of self-criticism? Notice its color, notice its texture. You can, if you wish, give it a very simple label: planning, worrying, judging, remembering, and then you do the most important thing of all. You let it go. You remain the sky, and you watch the cloud as it continues its journey across your awareness. You do not climb onto the cloud and ride it. You do not push it away. You simply allow it to drift at its own pace toward the horizon of your mind, where it will eventually fade and dissolve back into the vast emptiness from which it came. And then you rest again as the clear blue sky, waiting for the next cloud. The sky is never harmed by a storm. It is never stained by a dark cloud. The storm happens within the sky, but the sky itself remains untouched, pristine, and eternally peaceful. This is you. Let us explore this with one final image. Imagine your mind is a perfectly still, clear mountain lake. Your true nature is the deep, silent, clear water. A thought is like someone dipping a finger into the lake and writing a word on the surface. For a moment, the word failure appears. Ripples spread out. The surface is disturbed. If you believe you are the ripple, you will feel the disturbance. If you identify with the word, you will feel the sting of failure. All of your suffering comes from this, your desperate attempt to control the writing on the water, frantically trying to erase the word failure and write the word success instead. But the practice of observation is the practice of realizing you are not the word, you are not the ripple, you are the entire body of water. The practice is to simply watch the finger, write the word, and then pull away. And what happens when the finger stops writing? The water's own nature takes over. The ripples subside. The word vanishes. The surface becomes glass-like and still once more, perfectly reflecting the sky above. The water is not permanently damaged by the word that was written upon it. It has an innate tendency to return to stillness and clarity. Your mind is the same. Its natural state is peace. We disturb it with our incessant belief in and engagement with every thought. To observe your thoughts as clouds in the sky or as words on the water is to allow your mind to return to its beautiful, natural state. We have now learned to anchor ourselves in the present and to observe our thoughts without engagement. We have learned to be the sky. But there is a deeper layer to this work. What about the visceral, instinctual resistance we feel toward the dark clouds? What about the clenching in the gut when a storm of fear approaches? The next step on our journey is to learn the profound art of not just observing, but actively surrendering our resistance. It is time to learn how to unclench the fist. We are the sky, and we have learned to watch the clouds of thought drift through our vast awareness. We have anchored ourselves in the present moment through the rhythm of the breath. A profound peace can arise from this practice. Yet, we are still faced with a deep, instinctual reaction. When the dark clouds gather on the horizon, when a storm of fear or anger or grief approaches, what is our first response? It is to brace, to tighten, to resist. The jaw clenches, the shoulders rise, the stomach knots. We create an inner shield, a wall of tension to push back against the weather we do not want. We believe this resistance is our strength, our protection, but it is, in fact, the very source of our deepest suffering. This unconscious clenching is a fist, and our next great task on this journey is to learn the gentle, courageous, and profoundly liberating art of unclenching it. This is the art of surrender. Let us first address the great misunderstanding that surrounds this word. In our culture, surrender is a dirty word. It is equated with defeat, with failure, with waving the white flag to an enemy. The ego, that part of our mind that thrives on control and being right, finds the very idea of surrender abhorrent. It sees life as a battle to be won, and to surrender is to lose. We must dismantle this illusion completely. Spiritual surrender is not an act of weakness. It is an act of supreme intelligence and strength. It is the moment the warrior, exhausted from fighting, finally realizes they have been at war not with an external enemy, but with reality itself. And a war with reality is a war that can never, ever be won. To surrender is to have the wisdom to see the futility of this war and the courage to lay down your arms. It is not giving up on life. It is giving up the fight against life. It is a profound declaration of peace, not with an opponent, but with the unchangeable truth of the present moment. It is the end of the civil war within. To understand why this is so powerful, we must grasp the essential physics of inner resistance. There is a universal law at play here. That which you resist persists. Resistance is an energy. When you push against a difficult emotion or an unwanted situation, you are feeding it. You are engaging it in a tug of war, and by pulling on your end of the rope, you are ensuring the rope remains taut. Imagine trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes immense, constant effort. Your muscles are straining, your focus is narrowed, and all your energy is consumed by this one act of suppression. And the moment your attention wavers, the ball doesn't just surface, it erupts out of the water with a force far greater than it would have had if you had simply let it float in the first place. This is what you do with your sadness, your fear, your anxiety. You try to hold them down, and in doing so, you give them a tense, explosive power. The internal conflict is maddening. The ego screams, "Push harder, don't let it surface," while a deeper, wiser part of you knows that the effort itself is the cause of your exhaustion. The friction created by this internal pushing and pulling is the very heat of your suffering. It is the grinding of gears that creates the noise of anxiety and the smoke of despair. To surrender is to simply let go of the beach ball. It is to allow it to bob on the surface of your awareness. It may be uncomfortable at first to see it there, but you are no longer at war with it. You have reclaimed all the energy you were wasting on holding it down. This reclaimed energy is the power of the open hand. For your entire life, you've been walking around with a clenched fist. The fist is a symbol of resistance, of defensiveness, of a refusal to accept. A clenched fist cannot receive a gift. It cannot feel the caress of a cool breeze. It cannot hold the hand of a loved one. It is a closed, isolated, and sterile system. To surrender is to consciously, deliberately uncurl your fingers. It is to open your hand. An open hand is vulnerable, yes, but it is also receptive. It is available. It is in a state of allowance. When you surrender your rigid expectations of how a situation should be, when you release your desperate need to control the outcome, you create a vacuum. You create space. And it is into this space that grace can flow. It is in this space of allowing that intuition can finally be heard over the shouting of the ego. It is here that synchronicity can occur, that unexpected solutions and unforeseen opportunities can present themselves, solutions that your small, controlling mind could never have possibly conceived of. This is why surrender is not a passive act. It is an act of active trust. It is a vote of confidence in an intelligence far greater than your own. It is you, the small, frightened captain of the ship, finally handing the wheel over to the great, wise ocean itself, trusting that it knows the way. You step out of your own way, and in doing so, you allow the full force of life to support you. This sounds profound, but how do we practice it in the heat of the moment? We do it by creating a new, conscious habit. We use the very sensations of resistance as our cue, as our bell of mindfulness. The moment you feel your jaw tighten, your stomach churn, or your shoulders creep up toward your ears, that is your signal. That is the moment to practice. In that moment, turn to your breath, your faithful anchor, and you will apply a simple two-part mantra, a sacred intention woven into the rhythm of your breathing. As you take a conscious inhalation, you say silently to yourself, "I accept this moment exactly as it is." This is not saying you like it. It is not saying you approve of it. It is a simple, non-argumentative statement of fact. This is what is happening. The anger is here, the fear is here, the uncertainty is here. It is a radical acceptance of reality. Then, as you exhale, you say silently to yourself, "I let go of my need to control the outcome." This is the release. This is the unclenching of the fist. You are releasing your attachment to how you think this moment should unfold. You are letting go of your war with what is. Inhale, "I accept this moment as it is." Exhale, "I let go of my need to control." This is not a magic spell to make your problems disappear. It is a practice to dissolve your resistance to your problems. And you will find, miraculously, that when the resistance dissolves, the problem itself often transforms, because the energy that was fueling it has been withdrawn. This constant state of clenching, of resisting the flow of life, is not an abstract, philosophical concept. It has a physical reality. It has an address, and the address is your body. Every time you resist an emotion, you store that resistance in your tissues. Every time you fight against a situation, you etch that tension into your muscles. The chronically tight shoulders are carrying the weight of burdens you refuse to set down. The clenched jaw is holding back years of unspoken words. The knot in your stomach is the physical embodiment of your fear. Your body is a living history book, a faithful record of every battle you have waged against reality. It has become the battlefield itself. It does not lie. It holds the score. To truly heal, to truly find freedom, we must now turn our attention from the sky of the mind to the earth of the body. We must learn to read this sacred text, to listen to its silent, cellular wisdom, and to release the old, frozen energies that are stored there. We must learn that the body is not just a vehicle to be commanded, but an oracle to be consulted. We have come to understand that our inner war with reality, our constant state of resistance, is not a silent, abstract affair. It is a noisy, brutal conflict, and the battlefield upon which it is waged is the body. Every tightened jaw, every shallow breath, every knotted muscle is a trench dug deep, a scar left behind by the skirmishes of the mind. For too long we have treated the body as a casualty of this war, a broken-down vehicle to be dragged along behind the chariot of our ambition and anxiety. But this is a profound misunderstanding. The body is not the victim. It is not the battlefield. The body is the oracle. It is a wise and ancient truth-teller, a sacred instrument that speaks a language older and more honest than words. To learn to listen to it is to learn to heal from the very root of your being. In our modern world, we are a culture of the disembodied. We live in our heads, floating in a cloud of digital information, abstract concepts, and endless mental commentary. We treat the body as an inconvenience, a machine whose needs for rest and proper fuel are annoying interruptions to our real lives of thinking and doing. We numb its signals with caffeine, we silence its aches with pills, we distract its weariness with endless entertainment. We have severed the connection between the head and the heart, the mind and the muscle. We have become kings of a tiny, noisy castle in our skulls, while ignoring the vast, intelligent, and whispering kingdom that lies below our necks. This creates a deep and painful inner conflict. The mind, with its loud ego, insists that it knows best, that it is the sole authority on our lives. It rationalizes, it justifies, it creates intricate stories to explain our suffering. But all the while, the body quietly, persistently, tells the truth. The body does not know how to lie. The tremor in your hands, the flush in your cheeks, the hollowness in your chest, these are pure, unedited reports from the front lines of your experience. To continuously ignore this intelligence is to drive through life with your eyes closed, relying solely on a faulty, outdated map, while ignoring the living landscape all around you. The language of this oracle is not spoken in words, it is spoken in sensation. This is the mother tongue of your being. It is the language of tightness and openness, of heat and coolness, of tingling, vibrating, aching, and flowing. These sensations are not random, they are data. They are emotions made manifest. The lump in your throat is the physical form of unshed tears or unspoken truths. The tightness across your chest is the energetic signature of grief or heartbreak. The churning in your stomach is the raw, visceral experience of fear. The chronic pain in your lower back is the accumulated weight of feeling unsupported and carrying too many burdens. The mind can tell itself a story. I am not angry, I am justifiably indignant. But the body will report the truth, a clenched jaw, a racing heart, a surge of heat. The mind can say, I am over it, I have moved on. But the body will tell the truth. A persistent ache in the heart space, a subtle, lingering fatigue. Learning to read this map of sensation is the most direct path to self-knowledge. It bypasses the elaborate defenses and deceptions of the ego and takes you straight to the core of what is actually happening within you. To heal, you must first be willing to feel, and to feel, you must be willing to inhabit your body, not as a master, but as a humble and curious student. Let us now embark on the fundamental practice of this re-inhabitation. This is the practice of the body scan. It is a journey of awareness, a pilgrimage through your own inner landscape. I invite you to find a place where you can lie down comfortably, on your back, with your arms resting gently at your sides. Allow your feet to fall open naturally. Let your body feel heavy and supported by the earth beneath you. The intention here is not to fall asleep, but to fall awake to the body. Gently close your eyes and take a few conscious breaths, allowing yourself to arrive fully in this moment, in this space. Now, bring your attention, like a soft, warm beam of light, all the way down to your feet. Become aware of your toes. You do not need to move them, simply feel them. Notice the sensations that are present. Is there tingling, warmth, numbness? Notice the points of contact between your heels and the surface beneath you. There is no need to judge what you find. If there is pain, you simply note pain. If there is nothing, you note nothing. You are a neutral, compassionate observer. Slowly, let this beam of awareness travel up from your feet into your ankles, your calves, your shins. What is here to be felt? Notice the muscles, the bones, the skin. Continue this gentle journey upward into your knees and your thighs, home to the largest muscles in your body. Is there tension here? Is there softness? Simply notice. Now bring your awareness to the area of your pelvis, your hips, and your lower back. An area where so many of us store so much tension. Just feel. Be present with whatever sensations are here. As you encounter a place that feels tight, or numb, or painful, I invite you to try something new. As you breathe in, imagine your breath could travel directly to that spot, carrying with it a sense of warmth, curiosity, and acceptance. The breath is saying, "It's okay, I feel you. I am here with you." And as you breathe out, imagine that spot softening, just a little. Imagine the tension dissolving, releasing its grip, even if only by 5%. This is not a demand. It is a gentle invitation to let go. Continue your journey upward, into your abdomen, noticing the gentle rise and fall with each breath. Move into your chest, the home of your heart and lungs. Feel the subtle beat of your heart, the expansion of your ribs. Travel down your arms to your hands and all the way to your fingertips. Are your hands clenched or open? Are they warm or cool? Return your awareness up to your shoulders. Allow them to feel heavy, to melt into the floor. Scan your neck, and then your entire face, your jaw, your mouth, your cheeks, the tiny muscles around your eyes, your forehead. Let it all be soft. Finally, expand your awareness to include your entire body, from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head, as one single, unified field of sensation. Feel the life force, the subtle vibration, the aliveness that is present in you right now. Think of your body as a magnificent musical instrument, like a cello or a harp. The daily stresses of life, the resentments you hold, the fears you suppress, these are the things that tighten or loosen the strings, knocking your instrument out of tune. To live in a state of disembodiment is to play this out-of-tune instrument every day, creating a life filled with dissonance, anxiety, and jarring noise. The practice of the body scan, of bringing mindful, loving awareness to your physical self, is the sacred act of retuning. You are listening to each string, one by one. You are not judging the sour note, you are simply noticing it. And with the gentle touch of your breath and your awareness, you are making the subtle adjustments needed to bring it back into harmony. A well-tuned instrument does not have to try to create beautiful music. It does so naturally. A well-inhabited, balanced body creates a life that feels less like a struggle and more like a dance, a harmonious melody. When the strings of the body are soothed and the sky of the mind has been cleared, a new possibility emerges. The constant background noise of physical tension and mental chatter begins to fade. And in this growing quietude, we become capable of perceiving something that has been here all along, drowned out by the noise of our own inner state. We can begin to hear the profound, creative, and healing sound of silence itself. The sky of the mind has been cleared, revealing its vast, blue nature. The instrument of the body has been tuned, its strings no longer screaming with the dissonance of resistance, but humming with a quiet harmony. The frantic noise of our inner world, the relentless chatter of the ego, and the chronic static of physical tension has begun to subside, and into this newfound quiet, something else emerges. We often mistake it for a void, an emptiness, a mere absence of sound. But this is a profound misunderstanding. What we are beginning to perceive is not an absence, but a presence. It is the most subtle, most powerful, and most healing force in the universe. It is silence. Let us first be honest about our relationship with this silence. For the modern human, silence is terrifying. It is the one experience we are conditioned to avoid at all costs. We live in a state of horror vacui, a deep-seated fear of empty space, of unfilled moments. Observe your own life. Do you drive your car in silence, or is the radio on? Do you walk down the street in silence, or are there earbuds piping podcasts into your brain? Do you wait in a line in silence, or does your hand instinctively reach for the phone to scroll through the endless chatter of the digital world? We have become addicts, desperately seeking our next fix of external stimulation, of noise, to distract us from the terrifying prospect of being left alone with ourselves. We fear that if the outer noise stops, we will be forced to hear the inner noise of our own untended minds. We fear that if all the distractions are stripped away, we will be confronted by a vast, lonely emptiness. This is the great conflict. Our soul craves the nourishment of silence, while our conditioned ego compulsively fills every available space with noise to protect itself from the perceived threat of nothingness. But the silence we are speaking of here is not nothingness. It is the very ground of everything. It is not the absence of sound, but the context for all sound. It is the presence of a deep, listening awareness. Think of it this way. Without the silent, white canvas, the painter's colors would have no meaning. Without the silence between the notes, music would devolve into chaos. The silence is what gives shape, meaning, and power to the sound. This silence is the primordial womb of all creation. It is the unmanifest potential from which all forms arise. It is the still, deep water of the lake before a single ripple disturbs its surface. It is not empty. It is pregnant with everything. In the ancient wisdom traditions, this silence is known by many names: God, consciousness, the source, the Tao. It is the ultimate reality, the fabric of existence itself. When you are in a state of frantic, constant thinking, you are cut off from this source. Your mind is like a radio tuned only to static. To intentionally cultivate silence is to slowly, deliberately turn the dial, moving past the noise until you tune into the clear, subtle broadcast of the universe itself. It is in this silence that true insight is born. It is here that creativity awakens. It is in this vast, allowing space that the whispers of your own soul, so long drowned out by the shouting of the ego, can finally be heard. Clarity does not come from thinking more. It comes from listening more deeply to the silence. How do we practice this in a world that conspires against it? We do it with a practice so simple that it appears radical, so profound that the mind will resist it with all its might. The practice is this: for 5 minutes each day, you will intentionally do nothing. This is not meditation in the formal sense. There is no mantra to repeat, no breath to count, no specific technique to hide behind. The instruction is simply to be. Find a chair, sit in it, set a timer for 5 minutes, and do nothing. No phone, no book, no music, no tidying the room. You simply sit. At first, this will feel like a form of torture. Your body will want to fidget. Your mind will scream with boredom. It will suddenly generate a list of 1,000 critically important things you must do right now. An intense restlessness may arise, a feeling that you are going to crawl out of your own skin. This is the moment of truth. This discomfort is the withdrawal symptom from your addiction to noise and distraction. Your job is not to fix it or escape it. Your job is to simply sit with it, to feel it, to allow the wave of restlessness to be there without acting on the impulse to run. You are a mountain, and the restlessness is a fierce wind. You do not argue with the wind. You simply remain the mountain, solid, present, and unmoving. And if you can stay, if you can endure this initial storm of the conditioned self, something miraculous happens. The wave of discomfort eventually crests, and then it breaks. The storm passes. And on the other side of it, you will get your first authentic taste of true silence. It is a state of profound peace. It is a feeling of just being, without the relentless pressure to be doing, or achieving, or becoming. It is the simple, quiet dignity of your own existence. It is the feeling of coming home. Imagine that your consciousness for your entire life has been like a patch of hard, dry, concrete pavement. It is packed dense with the noise of worries, plans, and endless thinking. Nothing can grow there. It is a barren landscape. The practice of inviting silence, of daring to do nothing, is like taking a pickaxe to that concrete. It is hard work at first. It is jarring and uncomfortable. But slowly, you begin to break it up. You create cracks, and with continued practice, you pulverize that concrete back into what it once was: rich, dark, fertile soil. This silence is the fertile ground of your being. It is only in this silent, receptive soil that the true seeds of your life can be planted and can begin to grow. The seeds of your deepest intuition, of your most brilliant creative ideas, of your most authentic desires, cannot sprout on concrete. They need the darkness, the quiet, and the nourishment of the silent earth. When you cultivate this inner silence, the answers you have been desperately seeking with your mind will begin to emerge effortlessly from this deeper place. You will stop striving and start receiving. You will stop forcing and start allowing. As you become more established in this silent, fertile present, you become acutely aware of the power and potency of this moment. You realize that this is the only moment where you can act, the only moment where you can plant a seed. Every choice, every small action performed from this place of stillness carries an immense weight. It is a seed planted in the fertile ground of now, a seed whose fruit you will inevitably taste. You begin to understand the subtle, inexorable, and perfect law of cause and effect. You are ready to explore the karma of your small actions. We have arrived in the stillness, the sacred fertile ground of the present moment. We have learned that this is not a void, but a space of infinite potential, the silent womb from which all creation is born. And now, standing on this fertile ground, we come to a profound and empowering realization. This is the only place from which we can act. This present moment is the only soil in which we can plant a seed. Every single thing you think, say, and do in this moment is a seed you are planting, a seed that will inevitably, inexorably, bear fruit in the future. This is the true, practical, and demystified meaning of karma. It is not a cosmic judgment. It is the simple, elegant, and inescapable law of the harvest. You will reap what you sow. Let us first strip away the layers of superstition and fear that have been wrapped around this concept. Karma is not a scorecard kept by an unseen deity. It is not a system of punishment and reward designed to keep you in line. Karma is a law of the universe, as neutral, impersonal, and reliable as the law of gravity. It is the law of cause and effect applied to the realm of consciousness. For every action, there is a consequence. For every cause, there is an effect. It is the law of momentum. An object set in motion in a particular direction will continue in that direction until another force acts upon it. A life set in motion by acts of anger, resentment, and distraction will continue on that trajectory of suffering until the force of conscious, mindful action is applied to change its course. There is no one to blame and no one to praise. You are the sower of the seeds. You are the architect of your own momentum. This realization is not meant to be a burden, but the ultimate liberation. It means that at any given moment, no matter what has happened in the past, You have the power to change your future by changing your actions right now. You are the creator of your destiny, not its victim. Destiny is not some grand, predetermined fate written in the stars. Destiny is the house you are building, brick by brick, with the small choices you make every day. The architecture of your life is assembled from the mundane materials of your present moment actions. Consider the process. A single thought, if entertained repeatedly, becomes a belief. A belief, when it directs your choices, becomes a habit. A collection of habits, practiced consistently, solidifies into your character, and your character, the sum total of your tendencies and reactions, is what determines your destiny. Therefore, the future is not forged in a few momentous, life-altering decisions. It is woven, thread by thread, in the countless, seemingly insignificant choices of the now. Do you choose to scroll on your phone for 5 more minutes? Or do you choose to get up and stretch your body? Do you choose to indulge in a piece of gossip? Or do you choose to remain silent? Do you choose to react with sharp anger to a perceived slight? Or do you choose to take one conscious breath before you respond? Each of these choices is a brick. Each one is a thread. Each one is a seed. Imagine your life as a garden. A beautiful, flourishing garden is not created in a single day of frantic activity. It is the result of daily, patient, often boring acts of devotion. It is the pulling of one weed today. It is the watering of one small plant tomorrow. It is the quiet, consistent tending that allows life to flourish. You cannot sow seeds of thorn and thistle seeds of reactivity, judgment, and procrastination and expect to harvest a garden of roses. The law is perfect. The harvest will always match the seed. Herein lies the great inner battle, the conflict that defines the human spiritual journey. It is the war between instant gratification and long-term well-being. There is a classic story of 2 wolves fighting within each of us. One wolf is the wolf of fear, greed, laziness, anger, and self-pity. The other wolf is the wolf of courage, kindness, discipline, joy, and peace. The one that wins, the story concludes, is the one you feed. Every choice you make is an act of feeding one of these 2 wolves. When you choose the path of least resistance, the angry outburst, the mindless indulgence, the lazy postponement of what you know you must do, you are feeding the wolf of suffering. You are strengthening its hold over you, making it more likely that you will make the same choice tomorrow. When you choose the conscious path, however difficult it may feel in the moment, the path of patience, of self-restraint, of performing the small, necessary task, you are feeding the wolf of freedom. You are nourishing your own higher self. We must redefine self-discipline. It is not a harsh, joyless punishment you inflict upon yourself. True self-discipline is one of the highest forms of self-love. It is the act of loving your future self enough to make a choice today that will bring them peace, not pain. It is the ultimate act of kindness to the person you are becoming. How do we practice this in a world that pulls us constantly toward the easy, unconscious choice? We start small. We create a new karma of presence with one single intentional act. The practice is this. Each day, choose one small, mundane action to be your sacred practice. It could be the act of making your bed in the morning. It could be preparing your first cup of tea. It could be washing a single dish. The power is not in what you do, but in how you do it. For the duration of that one chosen act, you will commit to being 100% present. If you are making your bed, you will feel the texture of the sheets in your hands. You will notice the movement of your arms. You will observe the smooth finality of the straightened quilt. You will not be thinking about your day, or rehearsing a conversation, or worrying about the future. For those 90 seconds, your entire universe is the making of the bed. If you are drinking a cup of tea, you will feel the warmth of the mug, see the steam rising, smell the aroma, taste the liquid in your mouth. You will infuse one small, ordinary moment with the extraordinary quality of your full, undivided attention. This practice is a powerful form of karmic seeding. It trains your mind to value presence. It proves to you that you have the capacity to be the master of your own focus. By making one small part of your life sacred, you create a powerful ripple that begins to sanctify the whole. You are planting a seed of mindfulness that will begin to sprout in the most unexpected corners of your life. You are always creating. With every breath, with every choice, you are casting a vote for the kind of future you will experience. Your life is a great ship on a vast ocean, and karma is the rudder. It is not the wind or the waves or the destination. Those things are often beyond your control. It is simply the rudder. A small, seemingly insignificant adjustment to this rudder, a small change in your present moment actions, will, over the great distance of your life's journey, lead you to a completely different shore. You are the one at the helm. You are the one making these small, constant adjustments, whether you are aware of it or not. The practice of mindfulness is the practice of becoming a conscious navigator, and as you stand at the helm, in the silent presence of the now, making these conscious choices, you might ask, what is the energy that fuels these actions? What is the invisible current that flows through you, giving your choices their emotional force and color? Our actions create the path of karma, but it is the powerful and often overwhelming river of our feelings that drives us along that path. To become a truly masterful navigator, we must now turn our attention to this deep and turbulent river within. We stand on the fertile ground of the present moment, understanding that our every action is a seed planted, shaping the garden of our future. We have become the conscious sower, the tender of our own karmic unfolding. But what is the weather that waters these seeds? What is the invisible, powerful force that determines whether they are nourished with gentle rain or battered by violent storms? It is the force of our feelings. Emotions are the great river that flows through the landscape of our being, the current that gives our actions their power and direction. To become a master of our lives, we cannot ignore this river. We must learn its nature, respect its power, and discover how to navigate its often turbulent waters without capsizing. For most of our lives, we have maintained a deeply dysfunctional and exhausting relationship with this river of feeling. We have waged a misguided war upon it. From a young age, we are taught to categorize our inner world. We place certain feelings in a box labeled good joy, excitement, love, confidence. These are the feelings we pursue, celebrate, and desperately try to cling to. We place the rest in a box labeled bad anger, sadness, fear, jealousy, grief. These are the feelings we are taught to suppress, to deny, to medicate, or to conquer. We have been conditioned to believe that a successful life is one lived entirely in the good box, a life free from the inconvenience of negative emotions. This is perhaps the most tragic of all human endeavors, for it is a war against our own nature, a battle that guarantees defeat and ensures a state of constant inner conflict. To deny half of the human experience is to live a half-life. The energy we expend trying to avoid sadness or suppress anger is the very energy that drains us of our vitality and joy. To find peace, we must redefine our understanding of what an emotion is. Let us look at the word itself, emotion. It is, quite simply, energy in motion. An emotion is not a static thing. It is not a permanent personality trait. It is a physiological and energetic process that is designed to move through the body. It is the body's intelligent way of processing experience and releasing energetic charge. When we interfere with this natural flow, we create blockages and suffering. There are two primary ways we commit this error. The first is by damming the river. This is the act of suppression. When a bad feeling like grief or anger arises, we say, "I should not feel this," and we build a wall against it. We distract ourselves, we numb ourselves, we rationalize it away. But the energy does not disappear. It becomes trapped behind the dam, where it stagnates, putrefies, and builds immense pressure. This trapped, stagnant emotional energy is the source of so much of what we call anxiety, depression, and even physical illness. The river, denied its natural outlet, begins to flood and poison the very landscape it was meant to nourish. The second error is drowning in the river. This is the act of over-identifying. A powerful wave of anger or sadness arises, and we completely merge with it. We lose all perspective. We are no longer the person feeling anger, we become the anger. We are swept away by the current, tossed about helplessly, saying and doing things from that state that we later regret. In both cases, damming or drowning, we fail to allow the energy to complete its natural, intelligent cycle of arising, being felt, and passing away. The path of wisdom is the third way. It is not to build a dam, nor is it to drown. It is to learn to sit on the riverbank. You become a patient, compassionate observer of the river's flow. You acknowledge its power, you respect its current, but you do not become it. You allow it to move past you. This is the practice of mindful allowing. It is a courageous act of turning toward your inner experience, rather than running away from it. The next time a strong or difficult emotion arises, I invite you to try this instead of your habitual reaction. Find a quiet place where you can be undisturbed for a few moments. Sit or lie down and close your eyes. Your first step is to drop the story. The mind will want to loop endlessly on the story of why you are feeling this way. He said this, and then she did that, and it's so unfair. But this story only feeds the emotional fire. Gently set the story aside for now. Your second step is to drop into your body. Ask yourself this simple, powerful question: where do I feel this emotion in my physical body? This moves you from the abstract realm of thought to the direct, tangible reality of sensation. Is the anger a fire in your belly? Is the sadness a heavy weight in your chest? Is the anxiety a flock of frantic butterflies in your stomach? Is the fear a cold tightness in your throat? Be specific. Your third step is to get curious. Investigate this physical sensation as if you were a kind scientist discovering a new phenomenon. What is its exact size and shape? Does it have a color, a texture? Is it sharp or dull? Is it vibrating or is it dense and still? You are not judging it or trying to get rid of it. You are simply getting to know it, to be present with it. And finally, your fourth step is to breathe with it. As you breathe in, imagine you are directing your breath into and around the sensation, creating space for it. The in-breath says, I acknowledge you. I allow you to be here. As you breathe out, imagine the area around the sensation softening, the resistance melting. You are not trying to breathe the feeling away. You are breathing with it. You are offering it the gift of your calm, accepting presence. As you practice this, you will discover something extraordinary. An emotion that is fully met, fully felt, and fully allowed in this way will complete its journey. The energy will move through you and dissipate naturally. The river will flow on. The storm will pass. This brings us back to the metaphor of the weather. Your emotions are the weather of your inner world. Some days are sunny and clear. Some days are overcast and drizzly. Some days are rocked by violent thunderstorms. Your lifelong error has been to believe that you are the weather. When the storm of anger rages, you believe I am the storm. When the fog of sadness rolls in, you believe I am the fog. The practice of mindful allowing is the process of realizing your true identity. You are not the weather, you are the sky. You are the vast, open, unchanging space in which all weather happens. The sky is not harmed by the thunderstorm. The sky is not stained by the fog. It remains itself, always. It has the capacity to hold all of it. The sun, the clouds, the wind, the rain. You have that same capacity. You have the capacity to hold your joy and your grief and your anger and your fear, all within the vast, compassionate space of your own awareness. This newfound ability to be with the full spectrum of your feelings is a form of deep emotional maturity. It gives you an unshakable stability. You are no longer terrified of your own inner world. And this stability, this courage to feel, is precisely what you need for the next stage of our journey. It equips you to go even deeper, to turn your compassionate gaze toward the very source of the most persistent storms, the old, unhealed injuries of the self that lie at the headwaters of this great river. You are now ready to meet the echoes of a wounded self. We have learned to sit on the bank of the great river of feeling, to watch its currents flow without being swept away. We have found a measure of peace in our ability to be the sky, allowing the weather of our emotions to pass. But as we sit in this newfound stillness, we may notice that certain currents are relentlessly strong. Certain storms appear again and again with a familiar and painful intensity. A persistent, low-grade sadness. A sudden, volcanic eruption of anger that feels disproportionate to the situation. A deep, unnamed fear that gnaws at the edges of our peace. To understand these recurring patterns, we must embark on a deeper journey. We must travel upstream, following the river to its source. For many of the most powerful emotional currents in our lives originate in a hidden, tender landscape, a part of our own history that is still wounded, still unresolved. We must now turn with great courage and compassion to meet the echoes of a wounded self. Within every adult lives a younger version of themselves. For some, it is a single child, frozen at the age of a specific trauma. For others, it is a collection of younger selves, each holding the memory of a different pain. This is the inner child. It is not a sentimental fantasy. It is a psychological reality. When we were children, our capacity to process overwhelming experiences was limited. When faced with pain, fear, neglect, or criticism that was too much for our developing systems to handle, a part of our consciousness fragmented and became frozen in time, holding the full emotional charge of that moment. This inner child continues to live within our psyche, operating on a set of survival beliefs it formed long ago. The world is not safe. I must be quiet and invisible to avoid trouble. I have to be perfect and achieve great things to earn love. My needs are not important. These primitive beliefs, formed by a child's mind, now run as silent, powerful programs in the background of our adult lives. That relentless inner critic that tells you you're not good enough, that is often the internalized voice of a critical parent, now wielded by your inner child to try to whip you into shape and prevent you from being rejected again. That compulsive need to please everyone, to say yes when you mean no, that is the strategy of a child who learned that their survival depended on keeping the adults around them happy. The sudden, irrational panic you feel in a safe situation, it is the echo of a past terror, a ghost in your nervous system being triggered by a faint, present-day reminder. These core wounds become the invisible architecture of our suffering. The belief I am unlovable, formed in a moment of childhood neglect, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We unconsciously choose partners who cannot fully love us, confirming our deepest fear. We sabotage relationships when they become too intimate, because the wounded child within believes it is only a matter of time before we are abandoned. The belief I am not good enough, born from constant comparison or criticism, drives us to relentless, joyless overachievement, or conversely, to a state of paralysis where we are too afraid to even try, for fear of confirming our own inadequacy. This is the great inner dissonance that causes so much pain. The rational, adult part of you may know, intellectually, that you are worthy and capable, but the inner child, which holds all the emotional power, feels the old wound as a present-tense reality. You are living in two realities at once, a conscious reality of adult understanding and an unconscious, far more powerful reality of childhood feeling. And until you turn and address the feeling will always win. The defensive part of our ego wants to keep a lid on this. It tells us, don't go there. It's in the past. It will be too painful. Just keep moving forward. But the soul knows that you cannot heal what you refuse to feel. True healing requires us to break the taboo of our own history, to turn back, and to offer the one thing that was missing all those years ago: our own conscious, loving, adult presence. This is the practice of compassionate dialogue. It is the act of reparenting yourself, of your wise, present-day adult self, providing the safety, love, and understanding that your younger self never received. I invite you now to engage in this sacred work. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and establish yourself in the anchor of your breath. In your mind's eye, create a safe and beautiful place. It could be a sunlit forest, a peaceful beach, a cozy room with a warm fire. This is your inner sanctuary. Now, in this safe space, I want you to invite the child version of you to appear. You may see a specific image of yourself at a particular age, or you may just sense a presence. Trust whatever comes. Your first and most important task is simply to see this child. Look at them. Notice their posture, their expression, and then your adult self will do what perhaps no one did back then. You will get down on their level, look them in the eyes with pure compassion, and you will listen. Ask the child, how do you feel? What is it like to be you? What are you so afraid of? What happened that hurt you so much? Listen not with your mind, which will want to fix and analyze, but with your heart. Absorb their feelings without judgment. If they are crying, just be with them. If they are angry, allow their anger to be expressed safely. If they are silent and withdrawn, honor their silence. You are offering the pure, healing balm of your non-judgmental presence. After you have listened deeply, it is time to offer reassurance. It is time to speak the words the child has been waiting their whole life to hear. You might say, I am here now. I am the adult, and I will protect you. You are not alone anymore. You might say, what happened was not your fault. You were just a child. You did the best you could. You might say, you are allowed to feel sad. You are allowed to be angry. All of your feelings are okay with me. You might say, you are so much more than what happened to you. You are good, you are precious, and you are lovable, exactly as you are. Feel these words not just as empty platitudes, but as a transmission of truth from your adult heart to the child's. Place a hand on their shoulder in your imagination. Give them a hug. Let them feel your strength, your stability, your unconditional love. This is not a one-time fix. It is a relationship you are building, a practice of returning again and again to offer care to the most vulnerable parts of yourself. For years, you have viewed your wounds as a source of shame. You have seen them as a broken piece of a mirror, a shard that reflects a distorted, ugly image of yourself. You have tried to hide it, ignore it, or throw it away, only to find that its sharp edges continue to cut you from the inside. This work of inner child healing is the act of deciding to stop running. It is the act of turning back, and with hands made gentle by compassion, carefully picking up that broken shard. And when you finally have the courage to hold it, to look into its reflection, you see something you did not expect. Yes, you see the pain. But beyond the pain, you see the face of the one who endured. You see the incredible strength of the child who survived. You see the resilience that was forged in the fire of that early pain. You see the deep capacity for empathy you now possess because of what you went through. The wound is no longer a symbol of your brokenness. It becomes a testament to your strength. It is a sacred part of your story. Healing is not about erasing the scar. It is about learning to touch it with love and reverence. And as you do this work, as you integrate these fragmented parts of yourself into a compassionate whole, something fundamental begins to shift. The old, painful beliefs begin to lose their charge. The act of bringing love to the feeling of unlovable is a profound act of energetic alchemy. You are literally changing the energy you hold, the frequency at which your being vibrates. And when you change your inner vibration, you inevitably begin to change the outer reality you perceive and attract. You are now ready to step into the role of a conscious creator, forging a new reality from a new state of being. We have walked the sacred, often painful ground of our own history. With compassion as our guide, we have met the wounded parts of ourselves, listened to their stories, and begun the profound work of inner integration. This is not just a psychological exercise. It is an act of energetic alchemy. In bringing love to the parts of you that felt unlovable, in bringing safety to the parts that felt terrified, you have done more than just soothe old memories. You have fundamentally changed the energetic signature of your being. You have literally altered your vibration. And this is where the journey turns from healing the past to consciously creating the future. For the state of being you cultivate within is the very force that forges the reality you experience without. Let us explore this concept of vibration, not as a mystical fantasy, but as a fundamental principle of existence. At the deepest level known to science, the universe is not made of solid things. It is a dance of energy. Everything, the chair you are sitting on, the light entering your room, your own body as a vast field of energy vibrating at a specific frequency. Your inner world is no different. A thought is a measurable electrical impulse in the brain. An emotion is a cascade of chemical and energetic information that surges through your body. Your core beliefs, those deep, often unconscious assumptions about life, are like a constant, steady hum beneath it all. The sum total of these components, your dominant thoughts, your prevailing emotional state, and your core beliefs creates your overall state of being. This state is not abstract. It is a literal, physical, energetic frequency that you are broadcasting out into the quantum field in every moment. This is your signature vibration. This is where we encounter the great law of the universe, often called the law of attraction, but perhaps more accurately described as the law of resonance. Like attracts like. This is a principle you see everywhere in nature. If you strike a tuning fork pitched to the key of C, another C-pitched tuning fork across the room will begin to vibrate in sympathy, while a G-pitched fork will remain silent. They are not on the same frequency. You, as a field of conscious energy, operate in exactly the same way. You are a powerful broadcasting tower, sending out your signature frequency, and the universe, in its impersonal, lawful perfection, simply matches your signal. It brings into your experience people, circumstances, and events that resonate with the frequency you are emitting. This is the source of one of our greatest conflicts and confusions. We desperately want to experience a reality of joy, abundance, and love. Yet we continuously broadcast the frequency of sadness, lack, and fear. We worry about not having enough money, and then we are shocked when unexpected bills appear. We obsess over our loneliness, and then we are dismayed when we continue to meet emotionally unavailable partners. We marinate in feelings of resentment, and then we wonder why we keep finding ourselves in situations that feel unjust. The universe is not punishing you. It is not judging you. It is simply responding to your broadcast. It is a mirror, not a magician. It cannot bring you an experience that you are not a vibrational match to. This reveals the profound fallacy of wanting. We have been taught to believe that if we want something badly enough, if we desire it with enough passion, we will attract it. But more often than not, the act of desperate wanting is a vibrational declaration of lack. The very feeling of I want is rooted in the experience of I don't have. When you are desperately longing for a loving relationship, your entire being is vibrating with the painful reality of its absence. The signal you are broadcasting is not love, but loneliness. When you are consumed with the want of money, your state of being is one of scarcity and stress. The signal is not abundance, but not enough. The universe, in its perfect fidelity, responds not to the words of your wish, but to the feeling, the vibration that fuels it. And so it brings you more experiences that match the feeling of loneliness, more circumstances that reflect the reality of not enough. This is the core message, the secret key to conscious creation. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. To change your outer world, you must first change your inner state. You must stop broadcasting the frequency of lack and learn to broadcast the frequency of fulfillment, even before that fulfillment has manifested in your physical reality. You must feel the feeling of your wish fulfilled. How do we do this? How do we generate a feeling that our current reality does not seem to justify? We do it through a practice of embodied imagination. It is the art of assuming the feeling state of your desire as if it were already a fact. I invite you to try this now. Close your eyes, let your body relax, anchored by your breath. Now, think of something you truly desire. But instead of focusing on the thing itself, I want you to ask a different question. What is the feeling I believe this thing will give me? If you desire wealth, perhaps the feeling is security, or freedom, or ease. If you desire a great love, perhaps the feeling is connection, or joy, or a sense of being deeply seen. Now, let go of the thing you want and focus entirely on cultivating the feeling. For a few moments, generate the feeling of ease in your body right now. What would that feel like? Perhaps a softening of your shoulders, a deep, calm breath, a gentle smile on your face. Marinate in the pure sensation of ease. Forget the reason. Just inhabit the feeling. If the feeling is joy, can you generate a spark of it in your heart right now for no reason at all? Can you feel it as a warmth, a lightness, a bubbling up of energy? Your job is to become so familiar with this desired feeling state that it becomes your new home, your new default vibration. You practice feeling abundant before the money arrives. You practice feeling loved before the partner appears. You generate the feeling first. This is not about pretending or deceiving yourself. It is about understanding that your inner state is the cause, and the outer world is the effect. You are simply choosing to begin at the causal level. When you embody this new state, your choices and actions will begin to flow naturally from it. You will be operating from a place of fullness, not from a place of lack, and the universe will have no choice but to rearrange itself to match your new song. You are a radio transmitter, and your state of being is the frequency you are perpetually broadcasting into the field of infinite potential. For most of your life, you have been broadcasting unconsciously, on a default frequency set by your old wounds and conditioned beliefs. The practice of feeling your wish fulfilled is the act of consciously, deliberately walking over to the transmitter and changing the station. You are turning the dial from the station of I hope or I want to the clear, powerful station of I am. So how do you know what frequency you are truly broadcasting on a moment-to-moment basis? How do you get feedback on your signal? You do not need to look very far. You simply need to look around you. The situations you find yourself in, the way people respond to you, the opportunities that do or do not appear, all of it is a perfect reflection of your inner state. The universe, in its infinite compassion and intelligence, provides you with a flawless mirror. Your life is the mirror, and learning to read its reflections without judgment is the next great step in becoming a master of your own reality. We have arrived at a pivotal understanding. Our inner state of being is a powerful transmitter, broadcasting a constant signal into the quantum field of the universe. And the universe, in its lawful perfection, responds not with what we want, but with what we are. It mirrors our broadcast back to us. This brings us to a profound and sometimes challenging truth that can revolutionize the way you experience your life. The world you see outside of you is not a random collection of people and events. It is a flawless, instantaneous, and utterly personal mirror of your inner world. Everything you experience is a reflection. There are no accidents. Let us explore this through a simple analogy. Imagine your consciousness is a film projector. The light of your awareness is the lamp inside. The film running through the projector is the sum total of your inner state, your core beliefs, your unresolved wounds, your judgments, your fears, and your hidden assumptions. The world outside of you, the people, the circumstances, your health, your finances, the blank screen. What you perceive as your life out there is nothing more than the projection of your inner film onto that screen. For most of our lives, We are unaware that we are the projector. We believe the story is originating on the screen, and so we spend all of our energy trying to manage the screen. We argue with the characters, we get angry at the plot twists, we try to physically wipe the sad scenes away. We are like a person in a movie theater who, upon seeing a villain on screen, runs up and starts yelling at the fabric of the screen itself, trying to make him go away. The effort is exhausting, and it is utterly futile. The only way to change the movie on the screen is to change the film that is running through the projector. The only way to change your world is to change the inner state that is projecting it. This principle becomes most potent and most challenging when we apply it to our relationships with other people. The people who trigger you the most, the ones who irritate you, anger you, or frustrate you to no and dare not your enemies, they are your most powerful spiritual teachers. They are messengers, delivering a direct report on the state of your own consciousness. The psychological principle at play is called projection. We often project the disowned parts of ourselves, the shadow aspects that we cannot accept in ourselves, onto others. The qualities that we judge most harshly in another person are very often the qualities that we fear or have repressed within our own being. If you find yourself intensely irritated by someone you perceive as arrogant and boastful, it may be the mirror showing you a part of yourself that is afraid to take up space, to own your accomplishments, to shine your light. Your judgment of their confidence is a reflection of the judgment you hold against your own. If you are constantly angered by people you see as lazy or undisciplined, it may be the mirror showing you that you are a relentless overworker, terrified of rest, and that you have denied your own deep need for softness and ease. The inner conflict is immense. The ego's immediate, instinctual reaction is to blame, to judge, and to make the other person wrong. It feels good and righteous in the moment. It reinforces our sense of being the good one. But a deeper part of you knows this is a shallow victory. The courageous path is to pause in the heat of that reaction and to ask the terrifying, liberating question, what is this person showing me about myself? This leads us to one of the most powerful paradigm shifts you can ever make. It is the shift from believing that life happens to you to knowing that life happens for you. When you believe life happens to you, you are a victim. You are a powerless pawn in a game of random chance, buffeted by cruel twists of fate and the whims of other people. This is a state of profound disempowerment. It is the source of all blame, resentment, and feelings of helplessness. To know that life happens for you is to see the universe not as a hostile or indifferent force, but as a deeply intelligent and compassionate partner in your own evolution. It means that every single experience, especially the difficult ones, is a perfectly tailored lesson designed for your own awakening. The difficult boss is not there to make your life miserable. They are there for you, to hold up a mirror to your relationship with authority or your fear of speaking your truth. The financial struggle is not a punishment. It is there for you, to expose your core beliefs about lack, scarcity, and your own self-worth. The illness is not a random biological failure. It is there for you, to bring your attention to a deep inner disharmony, to a way of being that is no longer sustainable. When you can make this one subtle shift in perception from to me to for me, everything changes. Blame dissolves into curiosity. Resentment transforms into gratitude. You are no longer a victim, but a student in the grand and benevolent classroom of life. How do we apply this profound wisdom in our daily lives? We practice with a simple but powerful inquiry. The practice of the mirror question. The cue to begin this practice is the feeling of being triggered. The moment you feel that inner charge, that flash of anger, that wave of judgment, that pang of irritation directed at another person or a situation that is your bell of mindfulness. Instead of your habitual reaction of lashing out or complaining, you must pause, take one conscious breath. Create a space between the stimulus and your response. In that sacred space, you will ask yourself one of these questions with genuine curiosity and a willingness to hear an uncomfortable answer. What is this situation mirroring back to me about my own inner state? Is the quality in this person that is bothering me so much a quality that I have denied or am afraid of in myself? What old wound, what unresolved belief inside of me is this person's behavior activating right now? If the universe sent this person to be my perfect teacher at this exact moment, what is the lesson they are here to teach me? The point of this practice is not to arrive at a quick, clever, intellectual answer. It is to sit with the question, to let it sink in. The insight may not come immediately, but by simply asking the question, you have withdrawn your energy from the cycle of blame and redirected it toward the path of self-awareness and healing. You have turned a moment of potential conflict into a moment of sacred inquiry. With this understanding, we can now see the utter futility of our old way of being. We spend our lives standing in front of the great mirror of the universe, and when we see a reflection we don't like, a face contorted with anger, streaked with tears of sadness, or pinched with anxiety, we dedicate all our efforts to fixing the mirror. We try to scrub the image away with affirmations. We try to command it to be different. We sometimes even try to shatter the mirror in a fit of rage, only to find that we are surrounded by 1,000 smaller reflections of the same pained face. The wisdom of the mirror teaches us the simplest and most profound truth. You never touch the mirror. To change the reflection, you need only change the expression on your own face. You do the inner work. You heal the wound that is causing the sadness. You release the resistance that is causing the anger. You surrender the need for control that is causing the anxiety. And as you soften your own expression, as you change your inner state, the reflection in the mirror of life must, by universal law, change to match it. This deep, embodied understanding of the mirror fundamentally alters our approach to action itself. We cease our frantic striving against the reflections. We stop trying to force the world to be different. Instead, we learn to move in harmony with the source of the reflection or own being. We are now ready to discover the power and grace of acting, not with effort, but with effortlessness. We stand before the great mirror of the universe, and we have learned its secret. We understand now that to fight the reflection is an act of utter futility. To change the world we see, we must first change the inner state that projects it. This realization ushers in a completely new way of living and acting in the world. We cease to be the warrior, fighting against the current of life. We become the dancer, moving in harmony with it. We discover the profound and beautiful wisdom known in the ancient Taoist traditions as Wu Wei. This is the great paradox of effortless action. It is the art of achieving everything by doing nothing, of finding supreme power in surrender, and of learning to act not with force, but with flow. Before we can embrace this new way, we must first recognize the deep conditioning we are up against. Our culture is a cult of effort. We have been taught from birth that success is a direct result of struggle, that value is measured in sweat, and that our worth is proportional to our exhaustion. We glorify the grind. We celebrate the hustle. The idea of something important coming easily is met with suspicion, as if it were unearned or illegitimate. We have come to believe that life is an uphill battle, and that our primary task is to be a good soldier, to grit our teeth and push relentlessly against the steep incline. This belief system is the hidden engine behind so much of our anxiety and burnout. It chains us to a life of constant, draining effort, a life that feels less like a joyful dance and more like a grim, joyless march. The deep internal conflict we all feel is the friction between this conditioned belief that we must strive and a quiet, intuitive, soul-level knowing that there must be an easier, more graceful way. The key to unlocking this grace is to learn to distinguish between two fundamentally different types of action: forced action and inspired action. Forced action is born from the ego. It arises from a place of fear, lack, and a need to control. It feels heavy in your body. It comes with a sense of pressure, of I should, I have to, I must. It is the action you take because you are afraid of what will happen if you don't. It is the email you write from a place of anxiety. It is the phone call you make from a sense of obligation. It is the frantic work you do to meet a deadline, fueled by the fear of failure. This type of action is like trying to swim directly against a strong river current. It requires immense energy. It is deeply inefficient, and it leaves you depleted and exhausted. Inspired action, on the other hand, is born from a place of stillness. It arises from your soul, from your intuition, from that deeper intelligence we have been cultivating. It does not feel heavy. It feels light. It does not feel like a pressure. It feels like a pull. It comes with a sense of clarity, of rightness, of joy. It is a sudden insight that drops into your quiet mind. It is a gentle nudge from your heart. It is a creative idea that seems to arrive out of nowhere. Inspired action is like getting into a canoe and paddling with the river's current. The action itself may still require energy, but it feels supported, amplified, and even energizing, because you are in alignment with the greater flow of life. To embody this principle, we must shift our self-image from that of a builder to that of a gardener. The builder represents the way of the ego and forced action. The builder has a rigid, detailed blueprint for how things should be. They see the world as a collection of inert materials to be manipulated, bent, and hammered into submission to fit their plan. They operate through brute force, sweat, and a relentless desire for control. If a piece doesn't fit, they force it. If a wall isn't straight, they tear it down and rebuild it with great effort. Their entire focus is on imposing their will upon the world. The gardener, however, represents the way of the soul and inspired action. The gardener does not have a rigid blueprint for the rose. They have a deep respect for the innate intelligence of the rose seed. The gardener understands that they do not create the rose. Their job is not to control the growth, but to create the optimal conditions for growth to happen naturally. They diligently prepare the soil, doing the inner work of clearing out old weeds and limiting beliefs. They carefully plant the seed, setting a clear and heartfelt intention. They provide water and sunlight, taking the small, consistent, inspired actions that are needed to nurture the process. And then, and this is the most important part, they trust. They step back. They allow the mysterious, intelligent force of life itself to do the heavy lifting. They do not dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing. They do not pull on the sprout to try and make it grow faster. They know that such forced effort would only destroy the delicate process. This is Wu Wei. It is not about being passive or lazy. It is about the wisdom of knowing when to act and when to allow. It is the dance of doing everything that is necessary and then gracefully stepping out of the way. How can we learn to discern the difference in the moments of our own lives? We do it through a simple, embodied practice. The energetic check-in. The next time you feel the impulse to take an action, to make a decision, to send a message, to start a project, I invite you to pause. Before you leap into motion, take just 30 seconds. Close your eyes. Take a few deep, grounding breaths. Bring your awareness out of your head and into your body. And ask this question: what is the energy behind this impulse to act? Then listen, not with your ears, but with your entire body. Does the energy feel contractive? Does it feel tight, heavy, anxious, or fearful? Is there a sense of frantic urgency to it? If so, this is a clear signal of forced action. This is your ego trying to push the river. This is a sign that you are out of alignment. The instruction in this case is to not act immediately. The signal of fear is a call to return to stillness, to your breath, to your practice, until the fear subsides and a sense of clarity can emerge. Conversely, if the energy behind the impulse feels expansive, if it feels light, calm, clear, or even exciting in a quiet way, this is the signal of inspired action. This is the universe giving you a green light. This is the feeling of the river's current at your back. In this case, act. Act with confidence and trust, knowing that you are moving in harmony with the greater flow. For your entire life, you may have felt like you were facing a series of locked doors, and your only strategy was to throw your shoulder against them again and again, leaving you bruised, exhausted, and defeated. The life of effortless action is the discovery that if you can become quiet enough, if you can stop pushing long enough, you will notice that for every locked door, there is a key. The key is often hanging on a small hook right beside the door, but you were too busy struggling to ever see it. Inspired action is the quiet act of seeing the key, walking over, and gently turning it in the lock. This profound way of being acting from a place of serene, intuitive flow rather than from noisy, egoic force requires one final, deep shift in our sense of self. To truly trust the wisdom of the flow, we must become less identified with the small, striving, fearful part of us that thinks it needs to be in control. We must be willing to let that separate sense of self dissolve, like a drop of water, into the vast, intelligent ocean of a greater consciousness. This is the next great threshold of our journey. We have learned to move with the graceful current of life, to act not from the frantic energy of the ego, but from the quiet wisdom of inspired flow. This way of being requires a deep trust in an intelligence that is larger than our own personal mind. To fully inhabit this trust, we must take the next, most profound step of our journey. We must be willing to investigate the very nature of the I that has been striving, controlling, and suffering. We must turn our gaze upon the ego itself, not as an enemy to be vanquished, but as a temporary costume to be lovingly seen through, so that we may finally remember the true actor who wears it. This is the journey of dissolving the ego into the vast, silent ocean of consciousness. First, let us be clear. The ego is not a mistake. It is not inherently evil or bad. It is a necessary and brilliant evolutionary tool. It is the psychological software that allows a boundless, formless consciousness to have a localized, personal experience in this world. It is what gives you your name, your history, your personality, your sense of being a distinct individual. It is the character you are playing in this magnificent drama of life. The problem has never been the existence of the ego. The problem is our case of mistaken identity. We have become so engrossed in the role that we have forgotten we are the actor. We have mistaken the temporary costume for our actual skin. We believe that we are this collection of memories, beliefs, and labels. And it is from this fundamental error that the deep, painful illusion of separation is born. The primary function of the ego is to define and defend its territory, to maintain its sense of being a separate, independent entity. It builds a fortress around our consciousness, and its walls are made of judgment and comparison. The ego lives by drawing lines, me versus you, right versus wrong, good versus bad, success versus failure. It reinforces its own existence by constantly comparing itself to others, feeling either superior or inferior. It clings ferociously to its opinions and beliefs because it mistakes them for its very identity. To be wrong, for the ego, feels like a threat to its survival. Inside this fortress of separation, we feel chronically isolated, vulnerable, and alone. The ego's greatest and most profound fear is its own dissolution. It equates the loss of its separate identity with death itself. This is why it fights so tenaciously to remain in control. This is why it resists surrender. This is why it clings to past grievances and future anxieties, for these stories are the very bricks and mortar of its fortress walls. Herein lies the ultimate internal conflict, the ego's terror of ceasing to be, warring against the soul's deep, eternal yearning for union, for a return to the wholeness from which it came. The great spiritual traditions of the world have all pointed toward the same liberating truth, often expressed in the beautiful paradox. You are not a drop of water in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a single drop. Let us sit with this for a moment. The drop is your unique, individual manifestation. It is your body, your name, your personality, your specific life story. It has a boundary, a form, a temporary existence. The ocean is the one, universal, undivided consciousness that is the source and substance of everything. It is formless, timeless, and infinite. You are not a separate drop that has been cast out of the ocean and must now find its way back. You are, and have always been, a localized expression of the ocean itself. The ego is like the surface tension on the drop of water, the delicate film that creates the illusion of separateness between the water inside the drop and the water outside. The spiritual journey is the process of allowing this surface tension to relax, to release, to dissolve, so that our individual awareness can merge back into the vastness of its own source. This is not death. It is the ultimate homecoming. It is the wave realizing it is, and always was, the ocean. It is the actor on the stage, suddenly remembering that they are not just King Lear, but the silent, spacious awareness that is witnessing the entire play unfold. How do we facilitate this great remembrance? We do it through the most direct and powerful practice of self-inquiry. It is the simple, yet profound, act of asking the question, "Who am I?" I invite you to sit in stillness now. Let your breath be easy and natural. Turn the light of your attention away from the world outside and point it directly back at its source, at the very sense of I that is experiencing this moment. And from this stillness, silently pose the question to the core of your being, who am I? Your mind, the ego, will immediately rush to provide an answer. It may say, I am John, or I am Mary. Acknowledge this thought, and then gently ask, I am aware of this name, but who is the one that is aware? Am I only this name? The mind will offer another label. I am a mother, I am an artist, I am a doctor. Witness this role and gently inquire, this is a role that I play, a function that I perform, but am I only this role? The mind may offer a sensation. I am this body. Acknowledge it. I experience this body. I have this body. But if I can be aware of it, can I truly be it? Who is the one who is aware of the body? It may offer a feeling, I am sad, I am happy. Witness it. I am aware of this feeling passing through me, but am I the feeling itself? Or am I the space in which the feeling is happening? You continue this process of gentle negation, of neti-neti, as it is called in the Vedic tradition. Not this, not this. You are not your name, not your job, not your body, not your thoughts, not your emotions, because you are the one who is aware of all these things. As you gently set aside every label, every story, every sensation that arises, you will eventually come to a point where the mind has no more answers to offer. What remains is not a blank nothingness. What remains is the answer itself. It is a feeling, a direct experience of pure, silent, spacious awareness. It is the feeling of I am, without any word or concept attached to it. This is the taste of the ocean. There is a beautiful story of a doll made entirely of salt, who longed to know the ocean. It had heard of its vastness and its mystery. The salt doll, with its own unique shape and identity, journeyed for a long time until it finally reached the great shore. It stood at the edge, amazed. It asked the ocean, "Who are you?" The ocean replied, "Come in and see." So the little salt doll stepped into the water. A strange thing happened. As it walked further into the ocean, its feet began to dissolve. It was fascinated. It took another step, and its legs dissolved. It kept walking, and the further it went, the more of itself it lost, until it was dissolved completely. And just before its final dissolution, the doll cried out in wonder, "Now I know who I am." It did not die. It simply became that which it was always seeking. In the same way, as we allow the hard, separate edges of our ego identity to dissolve in the ocean of consciousness, we do not perish. We become the peace, the love, the vastness that we have been searching for all along. This state of dissolved ego, of quiet, trusting union with the whole, is the most natural and healing state in which to enter the sacred nightly ritual of rest. We are now prepared to approach the gateway of sleep, not as an escape from life, but as a conscious and loving surrender to it. Having journeyed to the edge of the personal self, we have felt the profound release of the ego dissolving into the vast ocean of consciousness. We have tasted a peace that is not dependent on outer circumstances, but is the very nature of our being. This dissolution, this surrender, is not a state you must struggle to attain. It is a natural process that you are invited into every 24 hours. This is the true sacred purpose of sleep. For too long, we have viewed sleep as a mere biological necessity, an inconvenient pause in our productive lives, an off switch for the mind. But this is a shallow understanding. The moments leading into sleep are not an ending. They are a gateway. They are the beginning of a nightly pilgrimage into the deepest, most creative, and most powerful realm of your own consciousness. To approach this gateway consciously is to transform the act of sleeping from a passive necessity into an active, sacred ritual of healing and creation. Let us first observe our common, unconscious approach to this nightly transition. We treat the final moments of our day with a startling lack of reverence. We see sleep not as a gentle surrender, but as an enemy to be held at bay for as long as possible. We immerse ourselves in the chaotic, stimulating energy of the outside world right up until the last second. Our faces are bathed in the cold blue light of our phones, our minds churning with the anxieties of social media, the horrors of the news, or the shallow drama of entertainment. We carry the unresolved arguments of the day, the lingering frustrations from work, and the frantic planning for tomorrow with us as we finally collapse into bed. We expect to simply switch off this torrent of mental and emotional energy, like turning off a light. We then wonder why our sleep is shallow and restless, why we are plagued by anxious dreams, and why we wake up feeling not refreshed, but depleted, carrying the energetic residue of yesterday into the new day. This is the conflict. The deep biological and spiritual need of our being for a gentle, peaceful descent, warring against the modern mind's addiction to constant stimulation and its refusal to let go of the day's drama. To continue this pattern is to treat the sacred temple of your mind as a dumping ground for the day's garbage, right before its most important period of restoration. We must redefine our understanding of sleep. It is not a state of non-existence. It is a profound shift in consciousness, a journey from the surface-level awareness of the ego mind into the vast, mysterious territory of the subconscious. The subconscious mind is the fertile, dark soil of your being. It is the realm of symbols, of deep memory, of core beliefs. It is the master architect that runs the complex machinery of your body, and it is the creative genius that connects you to the greater intelligence of the universe. In the final moments of waking, as you drift in the liminal state between wakefulness and sleep, the veil between your conscious and subconscious mind is at its thinnest. The intentions, feelings, and thoughts you hold in these moments are the potent seeds that you drop directly into this fertile soil. And the subconscious mind, being a faithful and non-judgmental servant, will take these seeds and tend to them all night long. It will water them, nurture them, and weave them into the fabric of your being. If the seeds you plant are those of worry, resentment, and fear, you will harvest a night of restless dreams and a morning filled with anxiety. For years, you have been planting these seeds unconsciously. The invitation now is to become a conscious gardener of your own inner night. This is the practice of the sacred pause. It is the creation of a conscious, loving ritual to honor the transition from doing to being, from the outer world to the inner. I invite you to claim the final 30 to 60 minutes of your day as a protected, sacred space. The first and most non-negotiable step of this ritual is to power down all screens. The blue light they emit disrupts your body's natural production of sleep hormones. But more importantly, the content they deliver agitates the mind and keeps it tethered to the external world. Let the world go for a little while. It will be there in the morning. The second step is to perform a mental cleanse, a conscious release of the day. Take a journal or a piece of paper and write down anything that is weighing on your mind, the tasks you need to remember for tomorrow, the conversation that is still looping, the worry that is still buzzing. This is the act of respectfully offloading these concerns. You are telling your mind, "Thank you for your diligence. I have recorded this. You no longer need to hold on to it." You are released from your duty for the night. The third step is to tune the instrument of your heart. Shift your focus from what was wrong with the day to what was right. Call to mind 3 specific, concrete things you are grateful for. Not abstract concepts like my family, but a specific, felt moment. I am grateful for the warmth of the sun on my face during my walk. Or I am grateful for the kind word my colleague said to me. Or I am grateful for the taste of that first sip of tea. Feel the genuine emotion of gratitude in your body. This shifts your entire vibrational state from one of lack or stress to one of peace and abundance. The fourth step is to return to your body. Perform a brief, gentle breathing meditation or a quick body scan with the specific intention of releasing any physical tension you are carrying from the day. Consciously soften your jaw, your shoulders, your belly. Finally, as you lay your head on the pillow and prepare to let go, you plant the final, intentional seed. You set a clear, positive intention for your sleep. It can be a simple phrase whispered in your mind, "I now surrender to deep, peaceful, and restorative sleep. May my body heal and my mind be at peace. I am safe and all is well." Imagine your mind at the end of the day is a beautiful, still lake at twilight. Your habitual unconscious approach is to stand at the shore and spend the last 30 minutes of daylight throwing stones into it, stones of worry, stones of anger, stones of digital distraction. The surface of the lake becomes a chaos of ripples, and it remains turbulent long into the night. You then awaken and wonder why you feel so disturbed. The sacred pause is the conscious decision to stop throwing stones. It is the act of sitting quietly at the water's edge and simply allowing the ripples from the day to naturally subside. As they do, the surface of the lake becomes like glass, perfectly still, perfectly clear. In this state of profound stillness, the lake can reflect the soft, gentle light of the moon and the stars. It can receive the silent wisdom of the cosmos. This clear, calm, and receptive mind is now the perfect medium for a new kind of planting. We are no longer just avoiding throwing stones of worry. We are now in a position to consciously, deliberately, and lovingly place the most potent and beautiful seeds of our choosing into these fertile, moonlit waters. You have arrived at the sacred pause, that hallowed stillness at the edge of the day. The world outside grows quiet, and a new world, the world within, prepares to awaken. This moment, this delicate threshold between wakefulness and sleep, is not an ending. It is a beginning. It is not a time of shutting down, but of opening up to a power that works in silence and shadow. Think of this state not as a descent into unconsciousness, but as an ascent into a different kind of consciousness, a realm where the rules of the waking world no longer apply. This is the workshop of the soul, the fertile soil where the blueprints of your reality are drawn and revised. Here, in this soft, permeable state, the boundary between your conscious desires and the vast, receptive field of your subconscious mind becomes exquisitely thin as a veil of mist in the moonlight. This is the hypnagogic state, the antechamber of creation. It is the golden hour of the mind, and you are the master gardener, standing at the gate of the most fertile field in the universe. The logical, analytical part of your mind, the gatekeeper that has stood on guard all day, is beginning to grow drowsy. It has spent its energy scrutinizing, judging, defending, and planning. It is tired, and in its weariness, it relaxes its grip. This is the moment of opportunity. For so long, this gatekeeper has been skeptical. It has demanded proof. It has pointed to past failures. It has built walls of logic around what is and is not possible. It has whispered doubts, telling you that your dreams are too big, that reality is harsh and unyielding, that you are defined by your history. But now, its voice is fading into a murmur. It is letting down the drawbridge. This is where the conflict you have felt so often arises, the battle between the weary cynicism of the mind and the boundless faith of the spirit. The mind says, "Show me, and then I will believe." The spirit whispers, "Believe, and then I will show you." Tonight, you will honor the whisper. You will not argue with the gatekeeper or try to fight it. You will simply let it fall into a peaceful slumber, and you will walk past it into the quiet, potent darkness of your own inner garden. The core truth you must embrace now is this: your subconscious mind is pure, creative energy. It does not possess a sense of humor, nor does it understand negation. It does not judge or analyze. It only accepts. It is the fertile earth that accepts any seed you plant within it, without question. If you plant seeds of fear, it will faithfully grow a forest of anxiety. If you plant seeds of lack, it will cultivate a reality of scarcity. It takes your most dominant thoughts and, most importantly, your most deeply felt emotions as its divine instructions. It does not distinguish between a vividly imagined reality and a physically experienced one. To the subconscious, a feeling is a fact. A powerfully held image is a command. This is not magic in the way a child understands it, but it is the deepest magic of creation. It is the law upon which your entire universe operates. You do not attract what you want with your fleeting, conscious thoughts. You attract what you are with the steady, resonant vibration of your subconscious beliefs. And this moment, this sacred pause before sleep, is your chance to tune that vibration. It is your opportunity to hand your subconscious mind a new blueprint, a new design for the masterpiece that is your life. Let us now walk into your garden. The air here is cool and still. The sky above is a deep, velvety black, studded with the diamonds of distant stars. This is your subconscious field. See it stretching out before you, dark, rich, and infinitely receptive. For years, perhaps, winds of chaos have blown seeds of doubt and worry into this soil. Thorns of resentment and weeds of self-criticism may have grown here. But tonight, you are not here to pull weeds. You are here to plant stars. Your intentions, your deepest desires for peace, for wholeness, for love, for abundance, are not heavy, difficult things to be forced into the ground. They are seeds of light. They are luminous, like tiny, fallen stars, held gently in the palm of your hand. You are here to perform the most sacred and effortless of tasks, to simply place these seeds into the soil and trust the process of germination that occurs in the deep, generative darkness of sleep. The practice is simple, yet its power is immeasurable. As you lie there drifting, choose the seeds you wish to plant. They should be stated as affirmations, but not as hollow words. They must be felt. Choose simple, powerful statements in the present tense, as if they are already true. If you seek peace, your seed is the phrase, "I am peace." Do not just say the words in your head. Feel the state of peace. What does it feel like in your body? Is it a warmth in your chest? A lightness in your limbs? A quiet hum throughout your being? Breathe that feeling into your heart. Let it saturate every cell. You are not asking for peace. You are embodying it. You are becoming it. If you seek abundance, your seed is "I am abundance." Feel the relief, the security, the freedom of being utterly provided for. Feel the gratitude of having more than enough. If you seek love, the seed is "I am worthy of love," or simply "I am love." Feel the warmth of acceptance, the joy of connection, radiating from your core and out into the universe. Choose your seeds for tonight. I am whole. I am healed. I am clarity. I am strength. Now, elevate this practice. Engage the power of visualization, for the subconscious speaks in the language of images and symbols. It is the cinema of the soul. Once you have your chosen feeling, your embodied state. Begin to imagine your tomorrow or the day after unfolding from that state. See yourself waking up, not with a jolt of anxiety, but with a quiet sense of peace. See yourself moving through your day with a calm confidence. If you planted the seed of abundance, see yourself handling your finances with ease and wisdom, receiving unexpected opportunities, feeling a sense of flow rather than struggle. If you planted the seed of love, see yourself interacting with others with an open heart, speaking your truth kindly, and attracting warmth and respect. Do not force the details. Let the images drift into your mind's eye like scenes from a beautiful dream. Make them sensory. What are you wearing? What can you smell? What sounds do you hear? The more real it feels to you now, the more real it becomes as a directive for your subconscious mind. You are giving it a movie of your desired reality, and its sole purpose is to say yes and begin arranging the props, the characters, and the events to match the film you have screened. As you feel yourself drifting deeper, closer to the edge of sleep, the final and most crucial step is to release. You have planted your seeds of light. You have watered them with feeling and visualized their growth. Now, you must trust the garden. A gardener does not plant a seed and then dig it up every hour to see if it is growing. That would destroy the process. Your job is done for the day. Release your intentions to the great, intelligent darkness. Surrender them to the wisdom of your subconscious and the universe. Trust that the germination will happen below the surface, in a way you cannot and do not need to control. As you let go, feel a sense of profound peace. You have done your sacred work. You have aligned yourself with the creative forces of the cosmos. Now, all that is left is to rest, to sleep, to allow the miracle of growth to occur in the silent, holy night. The seeds you have planted in this fertile darkness will take root while you sleep, and they will begin to sprout into your waking reality, nourished by the truth you have declared in this sacred, liminal space. Drift now, knowing you are not ending a day, but co-creating a new dawn. You have released your intentions into the great, fertile darkness. You have surrendered to the gentle pull of sleep, trusting that the seeds of light you planted will be tended by a wisdom far older than your conscious mind. But do not mistake this darkness for an emptiness. Do not believe that this nightly journey is a fall into nothingness. Where your conscious self lets go, your deeper self takes over. You are crossing a border, leaving the land of linear time, cause, and effect, and entering the vast, unpredictable, and profoundly meaningful territory of the dreamscape. This is the other half of your existence, a realm governed not by the laws of physics, but by the logic of the soul. Here, the past, present, and future can coexist in a single moment. Here, emotions take on physical forms, and the deepest truths are spoken not in words, but in the potent language of symbols. For too long, the waking world has taught you to dismiss this realm as mere fantasy, as the nonsensical byproduct of a resting brain. You have been taught to say, it was just a dream, as a way to discard the experiences, insights, and messages that arise from this sacred space. This is perhaps one of the greatest disconnects in modern life. We spend a third of our lives in this world and are taught to treat it as if it means nothing. This dismissal stems from a fundamental conflict within. The conscious, rational mind, the ego, is a creature of control. It thrives on certainty, on definitions, on what can be measured and explained. The dreamscape is the one place it can neither command nor fully comprehend. Faced with a world that defies its logic, the ego's defense is to belittle it, to label it as random and meaningless. This is the internal conflict. The ego's fear of the unknown versus the soul's innate understanding that this realm is a place of profound communication. To dismiss your dreams is to hang up the phone on your own inner wisdom. It is to turn your back on a teacher who visits you every single night, offering tailored lessons for your own unique journey. Tonight, and from this night forward, you are invited to change this relationship. You are invited to approach your dreams not with skepticism, but with reverence. not as chaotic noise to be ignored, but as a sacred text to be honored, even if you cannot yet decipher its every word. You are learning to listen to a part of yourself that has been speaking to you your entire life, waiting patiently for you to finally pay attention. The core message to embrace is this: your dreams are the unedited language of your soul. They are a direct line of communication from your subconscious mind, that vast intelligence that orchestrates your heartbeat, heals your body, and holds the blueprint of your highest potential. This part of you is not constrained by social etiquette, by fear of judgment, or by the stories you tell yourself about who you are. It is ruthlessly, beautifully honest. In the dreamscape, your subconscious mind works tirelessly on your behalf. It processes the thousands of pieces of information you absorbed during the day. It untangles emotional knots from your past. It presents you with symbolic scenarios to help you solve problems you are struggling with in your waking life. It will show you a fear you are denying in the form of a shadowy figure. It will reveal a hidden talent or joy in the form of an exhilarating flight. It will show you the state of your inner world through the metaphor of a houses, it clean and bright, or cluttered and falling into disrepair. This language is not arbitrary. It is ancient, archetypal, and deeply personal. Learning to understand it is not about becoming an expert interpreter. It is about becoming a better listener to your own truth. Think of your dreams as letters, sent to you each night from a distant and wise part of your own being. They arrive from a country you once knew intimately as a child, but have since forgotten how to visit at will. The scenes, the characters, the strange and wonderful events of your dreams. These are the sentences and paragraphs written in the native tongue of that land. When you wake up and the dream immediately evaporates, it is like a letter that has slipped from your hand and been swept away by the morning breeze. When you jolt awake and immediately begin to worry about your day, you are essentially seeing the letter on your doorstep and choosing to step over it. The practice of dream journaling, then, is the simple, sacred act of choosing to pick up the letter. It is a gesture of respect, a signal to your inner self that says, "I am listening. Your messages are important to me. I am ready to receive." Even if you cannot understand the letter's full content at first, the act of opening it, of tracing its strange and beautiful script, deepens the connection. Over time, you begin to recognize recurring words, familiar phrases. You begin to understand the unique dialect of your own soul. This practice begins with a simple ritual. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, after you have planted your seeds of intention, you can add one more. Whisper to yourself, "I am open to the wisdom of my dreams. I will remember what I need to remember upon waking." You are setting an appointment with your inner teacher. Then, place a notebook and a pen by your bedside. Treat them as sacred tools. This notebook is not for shopping lists or mundane reminders. It is a vessel for receiving nocturnal wisdom. When you awaken in the morning, or even in the middle of the night, the most crucial instruction is this: do not move. Before you open your eyes, before you turn your head, before the logic of the day floods your mind, lie perfectly still. The threads of a dream are as delicate as a spider's web at dawn. The slightest disturbance can shatter them. In that stillness, cast your awareness back, not with force, but with a gentle curiosity. What was I just feeling? What image lingers? Then, reach for your journal and write. Write down everything, no matter how fragmented or bizarre. Record a single color, a strange word, a powerful emotion of joy or fear. Write down a snippet of conversation, a landscape, a melody. The rule is absolute. There is no judgment in this space. You are not an editor or a critic. You are a scribe. Write without trying to make sense of it. The very act of moving the pen, of translating the ethereal image into physical words, forges a stronger neurological link, making the memory more stable. Do this before you check your phone, before you speak to anyone, before you even get out of bed. Make this your first sacred act of the day. Once you have captured the fragments, you can begin the gentle process of inquiry. Let go of the need for rigid, dictionary-style interpretations. You are the only true authority on the meaning of your dreams. Hold the dream in your awareness and ask it simple, open-ended questions. What was the core feeling in this dream? The emotional tone is often the most direct message. How did I show up in the dream? Was I active or passive, courageous or afraid? This can reveal how you are currently approaching your waking life. Is there any part of this dream that feels familiar? Any symbol that has a personal meaning to me? The image of an ocean might mean one thing to a sailor and something entirely different to someone who almost drowned. Your personal association is paramount. This is not an intellectual exercise, it is a meditation. You are sitting with the letter from your soul, letting its meaning slowly permeate your consciousness. The answers may not come immediately. They may surface later in the day as a sudden flash of insight while you are doing something else entirely. Trust this process. By honoring your dreams, you are weaving the two halves of your existence, the waking and the dreaming, into a single, integrated whole. You are telling your psyche that all of you is welcome, all of you is worthy. You are becoming your own guide, your own teacher, and your own healer, awake and asleep. You have walked through the corridors of your mind, learning to observe the ceaseless flow of thoughts without being swept away. You have faced the ghosts of yesterday and released their hold on your present. You have planted new seeds of intention in the fertile darkness of the subconscious and have begun to honor the wisdom that speaks to you in the sacred language of dreams. Through this entire journey, you have been cultivating a new relationship with yourself, one built on awareness, acceptance, and compassion. Now, we arrive at the practice that illuminates the entire path, the catalyst that transforms all this inner work from a discipline into a joy. We arrive at gratitude. This is not the simple, polite thank you of social convention. This is not a mere mental list of possessions or accomplishments. This is the gratitude of existence itself, a profound and transformative state of being that has the power to chemically, energetically, and spiritually reshape your entire reality from the inside out. It is the master key that unlocks a sense of peace so deep and unshakable that it becomes the very ground you walk upon. To understand its power, you must first understand the default setting of the human mind. For millennia, your mind has been exquisitely conditioned for survival. It has operated as a vigilant sentinel, its primary job being to scan your environment for threats, for problems, for what is wrong, for what is missing. This negativity bias was a gift that kept your ancestors safe from predators. In the modern world, however, this same mechanism, left unchecked, keeps you in a perpetual state of low-grade anxiety and dissatisfaction. It finds the one critical comment in a sea of praise. It fixates on the one thing that went wrong in a day that was 99% right. It constantly compares your reality to an imagined ideal and always finds it lacking. This is the source of the restless, hungry ghost feeling that haunts so many lives. It is the habit of complaint, the addiction to problems, the unconscious belief that focusing on what is broken is the way to fix it. The internal conflict, then, is one of the most fundamental you will ever face. It is the battle between the mind's ancient, ingrained habit of scanning for threats and the soul's conscious, deliberate choice to scan for grace. It is the tension between the automatic tendency to complain and the intentional practice of appreciation. At first, this practice can feel forced, even dishonest. When you are faced with genuine hardship, loss, or pain, the idea of gratitude can seem like a cruel joke, a spiritual bypass of real suffering. But this is a misunderstanding of its nature. Gratitude is not a denial of the shadows. It is the decision to turn on a light. It does not pretend the challenges aren't real. It simply acknowledges that the blessings are real too. It is the act of consciously withdrawing your precious energy from the vortex of what is wrong and investing it, moment by moment, into the reality of what is right, what is good, what is true, and what is beautiful, no matter how small it may seem. This is not a passive emotion. It is a courageous act of will. It is the retraining of your senses, the rewiring of your brain, to see the world not as a battlefield of problems, but as a temple of wonders. The core message, the secret that ancient wisdom traditions have always known, is that gratitude is the highest frequency at which a human being can vibrate. Every emotion carries an energetic signature. Fear, anger, and shame are low, dense, and contractive frequencies. Love, joy, and peace are high, light, and expansive. Gratitude is the tuning fork for these higher states. It is the express elevator to a state of connection with the universe, or God, or the source, whatever name you give to the intelligence that animates all of life. You cannot hold genuine gratitude in your heart and feel fear at the same time. One state cancels out the other. When you are in a state of gratitude, you are sending a powerful, resonant signal out into the cosmos. You are not begging for more. You are not complaining about what you lack. You are declaring with every fiber of your being, "Thank you, all is well. I see the good that is already here." And by the immutable law of attraction, the universe, in its infinite responsiveness, has no choice but to send you more experiences, people, and circumstances that match the frequency of your declaration. You become a magnet for miracles, simply by acknowledging the miracles that already surround you. This is the power of the central metaphor. Gratitude is like sunlight falling upon a landscape. Your life circumstances are the landscape. There are rugged mountains of challenge, deep valleys of sorrow, and vast plains of daily routine. Left to its own devices, the worried mind is like a perpetually overcast sky, casting a gray, monotonous pallor over everything. The mountains look menacing, the valleys look desolate, the plains look boring. The landscape itself does not change, but your experience of it is bleak. Gratitude is the sun breaking through those clouds. Suddenly, the light hits the peaks, revealing their majestic strength. It illuminates the valleys, showing the hidden streams and wildflowers growing in the shadows. It makes the vast plains shimmer with life. The landscape is the same, but it has been utterly transformed. Gratitude does not change your reality, it illuminates it. And in doing so, it changes your entire experience, which, in the end, is the only reality you ever truly have. To anchor this high vibrational state into your daily life, we use a simple, tangible ritual, the gratitude stone. Find a small stone, perhaps from a beach, a forest path, or a garden. It does not need to be a crystal or a gem. It just needs to be a simple piece of the earth that feels good and smooth in the palm of your hand. This stone will be your physical link to a spiritual practice, a totem for your attention. Place it on your nightstand, next to your dream journal. Let it become part of your sacred nightly ritual. Each night, just before you surrender to sleep, take this stone into your hand. Close your eyes. The feeling of its weight and coolness is a signal to your mind to begin its new task. Your task is to scan the day that has just passed and find one single thing for which you are genuinely grateful. It does not have to be a grand event. In fact, the power is often greater in the small, overlooked details. Perhaps it was the taste of your first cup of coffee in the morning. Perhaps it was a moment of silence you found in a busy day. Perhaps it was the unexpected smile of a stranger, the sound of rain on the roof, or the comfort of your own bed. It could be the simple, profound fact that your lungs breathed for you all day without you having to ask them. Find that one moment. Hold it in your mind. See it, feel it, experience it again. Now, let the feeling of thankfulness well up in your heart. Feel it as a warmth, a lightness, a sense of peace. And as you feel this emotion, imagine it flowing from your heart, down your arm, into your hand, and infusing the stone. Imagine you are charging this stone with the golden light of your gratitude. Hold it for a moment, feeling the resonance of that positive energy. Then, place the stone back on your nightstand. You have officially closed your day, not with worry about tomorrow, but with appreciation for today. This simple act purges the mind of its anxieties and bathes your subconscious in a frequency of peace, making it the perfect prelude to a night of restful sleep and sweet dreams. As this practice deepens, it will evolve. You will move from being grateful for things to being grateful for the very fabric of existence itself. You will find yourself feeling a wave of gratitude simply for the ability to see color, to hear music, to feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. Ultimately, you will arrive at a state of unwavering gratitude for it. All the joy and the sorrow, the success and the failure, the light and the shadow, seeing all of it as the rich, complex, and beautiful tapestry of a life being fully lived. This is the gratitude that asks for nothing and receives everything. It is the quiet, powerful peace of knowing you are a part of something vast, intelligent, and benevolent. It is the foundation upon which your true, unshakable self is built. We began this journey together in a room filled with noise. A room where the echoes of the past and the anxious whispers of the future were so loud, there was no space for the present moment to breathe. We stood in that chaotic room, feeling like a stranger in our own life. From that point of departure, we have traveled far. We have journeyed inward, step by patient step. We found the first gate, the simple, sacred anchor of the breath, our constant guide back to the here and now. We learned to sit on the bank of the mind's river, watching the clouds of thought drift across the vast sky of our awareness without being swept away by them. We walked back into the landscapes of yesterday, not to remain there, but to gently retrieve the parts of ourselves we had left behind, unclenching the fist of resentment and regret. We stood at the precipice of the future and let go of the exhausting need to control the uncontrollable. We listened to the wisdom of the body, we honored the messages in our dreams, and we planted seeds of powerful intention in the fertile soil of the subconscious mind. We learned to bathe this entire journey in the warm, transformative sunlight of gratitude. We have come full circle. We are standing in that very same room, but it is no longer the same, because we are no longer the same. The echoes may still arise, but they have lost their power. They are faint and distant, like sounds from across a calm lake. The whispers of the future may still murmur, but they are no longer threats. They are simply possibilities floating in an open space. The room has not changed. The world has not changed, but you have found the stillness within it. And this leads us to the final, most liberating realization of this entire journey. The peace you now feel, the quietude that hums gently beneath the surface of things, is not something you have built, acquired, or achieved. It is something you have uncovered. This is the great secret. Peace is not a destination you arrive at after a long and arduous journey. Stillness is not a prize you win after mastering a set of difficult techniques. It is your original nature. It is the factory setting of your soul. It has been here, inside you, all along. The entire journey, every practice, every moment of awareness, was never about adding anything to you. It was always about subtraction. It was about gently dismantling the walls of false identity, chipping away at the armor of fear, and clearing away the debris of conditioning that had hidden this inner sanctuary from your own view. And yet, a subtle fear may linger within you now. It is the most human fear of all. The conflict between your newfound peace and the memory of your old chaos. A voice may whisper, "This is wonderful, but it won't last. The world will rush back in. The stress, the noise, the demands, they will return, and this peace will shatter like glass." Listen to this fear. Acknowledge it with compassion, for it is born of past experience. And then, gently, tell it this truth. The noise will return. The waves of life will rise. The storms of circumstance will gather. This journey was never about building a fragile bubble of peace that must be protected from the world. It was about realizing that you are not the bubble, you are not the wave, you are not the storm. You are the deep, silent, immovable ocean beneath it all. The purpose was not to silence the world, but to awaken the unshakable stillness within you that the world can never touch. The practices are not walls to keep the chaos out. They are the map and the compass you now possess, to guide you back home to your own center, anytime you feel lost. This is the ultimate message. the truth at the heart of all wisdom traditions. You are the peace you have been seeking. You are the stillness you have been longing for. The search is over because the seeker and the sought have been revealed as one and the same. All this time, you have been like a wave in the ocean, churning and striving, desperately searching for something it called water. The wave looks everywhere. It travels for thousands of miles. It crashes against distant shores, all in a frantic search for the very element that constitutes its own being. The search itself is what creates the turmoil. The moment the wave ceases its frantic searching and simply relaxes into what it is, it realizes, I am water. I have been water all along. This realization does not destroy the wave. The wave still gets to rise and fall, to play and to dance, but now it dances with the power and the peace of the entire ocean behind it. It knows it is not separate. It knows it can never be lost. You are that wave, and you are that ocean. This brings us to the final, beautiful metaphor for your journey. Imagine a person who hears a legend of a magnificent diamond, a gem of perfect clarity and infinite value that is said to bring ultimate peace to its owner. Believing the diamond is somewhere out in the world, they leave their home and begin a great quest. They travel for years, across continents, over mountains, and through deserts. They endure immense hardship, face countless dangers, and spend all their resources in the search. They meet many people, learn many things, and grow wise through their experiences. But they never find the diamond. Finally, weary, humbled, and empty-handed, they return to the simple home they left so long ago. Defeated, they sink into their favorite chair. As they sit there in the quiet stillness of their own home, they place a hand in their pocket out of old habit, and their fingers close around something hard and familiar. They pull it out, and there, in the palm of their hand, catching the light of their own window, is the diamond, perfect, brilliant, and breathtaking. It had been in their pocket the entire time. The long and difficult journey was not a failure. It was necessary. It was the pilgrimage that made them ready to finally recognize the treasure they already possessed. You have been on that pilgrimage, and you have returned home. And so, we come to the last practice, a practice of non-practice, a practice of absolute non-doing. Find your seat, let your body be comfortable, let your hands rest, and now, do nothing. Let go of every technique you have learned. Let go of the need to watch your breath. Let go of the need to label your thoughts. Let go of trying to feel grateful. Let go of trying to be peaceful or still. Let go even of the idea of letting go. Simply be. Sit here as the awareness in which all things are happening. If a thought arises, let it arise. If a sound is heard, let it be heard. If an urge to move appears, let it appear. You do not have to follow it. You do not have to resist it. Simply notice it. In this non-doing, you will begin to notice something profound. You will notice the silent, unmoving space in which all this doing, all this thinking, all this sensing takes place. That space is you. That is the source. That is the stillness within. It requires no effort. It has no agenda. It is simply and eternally here. Rest in this. Rest is this. You are home.